Chapter 411. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. Xiao Liulong's body stiffened. How long had it been since he'd heard this voice? It felt like a lifetime had passed. He fell to the ground with his back to Princess Xinyang. Even so, he could feel her gaze on him. He didn't dare to turn his head, nor did he dare to turn his back. He tried to restrain his body from trembling, and said calmly, "I'm fine." Princess Xinyang heard him say he was fine, but out of the corner of her eye, she caught a glimpse of the cane that had fallen. It didn't look like a cane, but more like a walking stick. It was suitable for people who couldn't walk but couldn't walk at all. Princess Xinyang wasn't sure if he had been born with a disability or had just been injured recently. Either way, it didn't seem like he was fine. She said, "I think I tripped you just now. Can you still get up? I'll call a doctor for you. Come, help this man up." As soon as she finished speaking, the servant girl who had been supporting her stepped forward and reached out to help Xiao Lulang. Xiao Lulang hurriedly raised his sleeve to stop her. "Don't come over." The servant girl was startled. She looked back at Princess Xinyang in confusion. Xiao Lulang composed himself and said, "I'm not used to people touching me." When he was 14, his voice hadn't changed. It was still a young and immature voice. Now that it had passed, he had changed into a voice that was somewhere between a teenager and an adult man, low and clean. Princess Xinyang didn't immediately notice that something was wrong with his voice, but she could clearly feel his avoidance and resistance. She thought about how men and women shouldn't touch each other. He was wearing Hanlin robes and they were near Hanlin Academy. He really should be careful to avoid tarnishing his reputation. Princess Xinyang didn't make things difficult for him. "If you need anything, go to Princess Xinyang's residence and let me know." Although she didn't live in the princess's residence, her servants were there and could still notify her. Xiao Lulang tried hard not to look back. "No, I'm fine." Princess Xinyang felt that this person was strange, and so was she. She couldn't quite put her finger on it. "Where are you going? I can have the guard send you there." "No need." Xiao Lulang refused. "I can walk by myself." As he finished speaking, he used his hand to push himself up. Under the gaze of Princess Xinyang, he limped to the door and bent down to pick up the cane that Gu Jiao had personally made for him. He had never been in such a sorry state before. He knew that she was watching him from behind, but he didn't want her to see him like this. His hand that was holding the cane trembled slightly. He didn't look back and quickly disappeared into the crowd. Princess Xinyang looked at his departing figure and revealed a thoughtful expression. "Princess." Eugene walked in panting. Princess Xinyang came back to her senses. She glanced at her and said, "How did you end up like this when you went to buy some bread?" Eugene opened her mouth, hesitating whether or not she should tell her what she had just seen. Princess Xinyang said, "Just say what you want to say. When did you become so wishy-washy?" Eugene looked at her and gathered her courage to say, "Princess, just now. I think I saw the young duke." Princess Xinyang's expression changed slightly, but she recovered her usual calmness in an instant. "Eugene, how many times do I have to tell you? He's dead." Xiao Lulang ran back to Hanlin Academy in one breath. Ning Ziyuan had just come out of Hanlin Academy. Seeing that he seemed to have lost his soul, he pulled him aside and asked in confusion, "Lulang, what's wrong with you? Didn't you go to the examination hall to give a lecture? Did someone bully you?" "I knew it. Those makeup examiners at the examination hall were all shady officials. They're a bunch of prickly people. How about this? I'll go in your place next time." "I'm fine. The examination hall is fine." He could even suppress the super prickly crown prince, not to mention those little prickly people. "But you look like you have something on your mind." Ning Ziyuan didn't believe that Xiao Lulang was fine. After knowing Xiao Lulang for so long, he knew what kind of person Xiao Lulang was. In the past, Attendant Yang would always find ways to make things difficult for him, but he had never seen him in such a sorry state. Ning Ziyuan's mind flashed. "Are you worried about what happened this morning? I broke the inkstone and offended Princess Xinyang, didn't I?" Don't be sad. I'll explain it to her. I broke the inkstone. This whole thing started because of me, Xiao Lulang said. I'm really fine. Ning Ziyuan looked at him suspiciously. But you don't look well, Xiao Lulang said casually. Maybe I didn't sleep well last night. Ning Ziyuan asked suspiciously. Is that so? Xiao Lulang nodded. Yes. Then, Ning Ziyuan looked towards the end of the alley. Sister-in-law didn't come to pick you up today. I'll find a carriage to take you back. There's no need. Xiao Lulang rejected his good intentions. Xiao Lulang seemed to be easy to talk to in front of his friends, but when he was stubborn, no one could persuade him. Ning Ziyuan had no choice but to let him be. Xiao Lulang walked aimlessly on the street with his cane. When he left the boutique, he almost ran away. He didn't even look back to see how she looked, but her voice was deeply engraved in his mind. It kept circling and lingering. It started to rain heavily. The pedestrians all ran away. Only Xiao Lulang didn't notice it and walked slowly in the rain. It wasn't until a tender voice sounded beside him that he suddenly came back to his senses. Brother-in-law, what are you doing? Why aren't you using an umbrella? It was little Jing Kong. Little Jing Kong was holding a small yellow umbrella that Gu Jiao made for him. He raised his head and looked at Xiao Lulang, who was drenched like a drowned rat. Xiao Lulang didn't realize that he had arrived at the entrance of the Imperial College until now. Are you here to pick me up today? Little Jing Kong asked, holding the umbrella. Actually, it was not time for school to end yet. Little Jing Kong had finished his homework in advance and made an exception to leave school first. Yes. Xiao Lulang nodded and said to the little guy, let's go. Little Jing Kong didn't move. You don't have an umbrella. I don't have an umbrella. He paused and then added, I don't need one. Here. Little Jing Kong handed him the umbrella. You can use it yourself. How could Xiao Lulang take a child's umbrella? What if he took it? The umbrella was so small that it couldn't fit two people. Little Jing Kong said, I have a raincoat. Jiao Jiao made him a raincoat. There was even a big red flower that he drew on it. Little Jing Kong handed the umbrella to Xiao Lulang. Xiao Lulang still held the umbrella for him. He took out his yellow raincoat from his school bag and put it on quickly. Then he took off his shoes, held them in his hands, and stepped into the water barefoot. Xiao Lulang was speechless. You just want to step into the water. Little Jing Kong stepped into the water all the way and jumped into the holes. Since Jiao Jiao wasn't around, he didn't have to care about his tough guy image. He stepped into the water happily, like a little frog that fell into a pond. It turned out that going home with a bad brother-in-law could be so fun. When he reached the entrance, he said generously, Okay, I'll allow you to pick me up on rainy days. Xiao Lulang. Haha, as if I want to pick you up. Lu Quan next door was about to pick up little Jing Kong. He was slightly surprised when he saw the two people at the door. You're back? Hello, Uncle Lu. Little Jing Kong greeted him politely. The little guy was wearing the raincoat that Gu Jiao Jiao made for him, and he was wearing a small raincoat hat. He liked things that were golden, but Gu Jiao Jiao didn't have any golden dyes, so she made yellow. The raincoat itself was beautiful, but after he drew so many ugly big red flowers, it became a little indescribable. It was supported by the face. It was too ugly and cute. Xiao Lulang, the Hanlin Academy official, looked a little funny holding a childish yellow umbrella. Lu Quan laughed and said, It's good that you're back. I'll go and pick up Master. Goodbye, Uncle Lu. Little Jing Kong waved at him politely. Lu Quan said to Xiao Lulang, Lulang, quickly change your clothes. You're all wet. Xiao Lulang nodded. The two of them entered the courtyard. None of the family members were home. Gu Jiao had gone to see a doctor and had not returned. Yao Shi had been invited to Granny Zhou's home. Although they were not far from each other and were both in by Shui Tong. With such heavy rain suddenly falling, Granny Zhou was worried that Yao Shi would fall. Granny Zhou had Yao Shi wait until the rain stopped before leaving. Yu Ye and senior servant Feng were also there. As for Gu Yan and Gu Xiaoshan, needless to say, they went to learn martial arts. Little Jing Kong couldn't step on the water alone, so he ran to the backyard and let little 8, little 9, and the 7 chicks out to step on the water. The 9 mythological beasts in the house said that they didn't want to step on the water. Xiao Lulang went back to the west room to change into dry clothes, then went to the study to take out the Yin Kingdom's arithmetic book, and continued to study and calculate the ancestral rate. Little Jing Kong stepped on the water for a while, then walked into the study quietly. He came to the desk, held his little belly and said awkwardly, "I'm hungry." Xiao Lulang glanced at him. "Are you sure you want to eat the food I made?" Little Jing Kong choked and stammered. Then I'd better not. Bad brother-in-law's food was too disgusting, so he could stay hungry for a while. Little Jing Kong's stomach kept growling. Even after eating the candied fruits and snacks, he still wasn't full. After all, he was a child with a big appetite. Otherwise, he wouldn't have fought with the other little monks for food. Xiao Lulang went to the kitchen and cooked a bowl of vegetable and egg noodles for him. Looking at the black noodles on the table, little Jing Kong refused in his heart. Xiao Lulang handed him a pair of chopsticks. "Eat." Little Jing Kong sat on the small horizontal chair in front of him. He didn't take the chopsticks immediately, but looked at Xiao Lulang seriously. "I just want to ask you, can you eat this bowl of noodles by yourself?" Xiao Lulang said calmly, "I'm not the one whose stomach is growling now." Little Jing Kong lowered his head. Bad brother-in-law's words were so reasonable that he couldn't refute him. In the end, hunger prevailed. Alas. Little Jing Kong sighed, took the chopsticks with his little hand, and started to eat in resignation. It was almost dinner time, but Xiao Lulang wasn't hungry. However, he didn't let little Jing Kong sit in the central room and eat alone. He directly moved little Jing Kong and the chair to the study. He ate his own food and counted his own food. Little Jing Kong was halfway through eating when he suddenly looked at Xiao Lulang bitterly. "Can I ask you a question?" "Go ahead." Xiao Lulang didn't raise his head and continued to do the math problem in his hand. Little Jing Kong was full of curiosity. "How do you make every meal taste worse than the last?" Xiao Lulang looked at him and said shamelessly, "Work hard and cook well." When Lin Lang found a rabbit. "Ahing, this little rabbit is injured. Let's bring it home, okay?" The rabbit raised by his mother died not long ago, and his mother was sad for a long time. "Ahing, I want to eat dates. Can you go to the tree and pick them for me?" His mother also liked to eat dates, so he climbed up to pick them. "Ahing, can you go and buy osmanthus cake for me?" His mother also liked osmanthus cake, so he sat in the carriage and went to buy it. When he carried the rabbit, a bag of dates and a box of osmanthus cake, he excitedly went to find Princess Xian Yang. What he saw, however, was an indifferent and world-weary face. "Ahing." She waved to him and smiled. He slowly walked over. "Mother, are you not feeling well?" She looked at him meaningfully. "Ahing, do you like Mother?" "I do." "Are you willing to do anything for Mother?" "I am willing," he said resolutely. "Then go die for Mother." "Ahing, go die for me, okay?" Digression. Do you still remember the last few words? In 121. Little Jing Kong. At the end of the chapter. In regards to the new chapters, I have not stopped updating. This month, I will begin saving up chapters, but the minimum daily is 4,000 words. At the bookstore, it is at least 4 chapters. If the readers at the bookstore like it, I can also divide it into 1,000 words per chapter. Every day it will be 4 or 5 chapters. The newest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more interesting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated even faster. Millions of novels will be read for free. Novels that cannot be found online will all be available here. https://www.zhhbqg.com/89642_896426/110582895. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in 1 second. www.zhhbqg.com Pen Fun Pavilion's mobile reading website. zhhbqg.com. Chapter 412. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more frequently. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. The rain poured down. Vermilion Bird Avenue was shrouded in rain and fog. Princess Xinyang sat in front of the window, quietly watching the heavy rain in the courtyard. She was wearing pajamas, as if she had just crawled out of bed. Yujin came out of the greenhouse, closed the umbrella, and brushed the rain off it. She handed it to a servant girl beside her, then turned to enter the room. She said to Princess Xinyang, "That peony is alive. It can't be like this anymore. If this happens a few more times, even De Luo Jin Xian won't be able to save it." Princess Xinyang didn't speak. She just silently admired the rain. The rain is blowing in. Yujin walked over, took away the stick supporting the window, and let it down. After this rain, it should get cold. Coincidentally, it's the Mid-Autumn Festival. With no more rain to watch, Princess Xinyang lowered her gaze but still didn't speak. Yujin looked at her deeply. "Princess, is there something on your mind?" "I just had a dream," Princess Xinyang said. "I dreamed of that child." Yujin's eyes moved. She asked tentatively, "The young duke?" "Yes," Princess Xinyang readily admitted. She pinched her left sleeve with her right hand. "He shouted that he wanted to kill me." Yujin's expression changed slightly. Princess Xinyang smiled faintly. Yujin wanted to say something, but hesitated. She sighed. "It's getting late. Princess should rest early." When Xiao Luleng woke up, it was already midnight. He lay on the soft bed. After a while, he remembered that he seemed to have fallen asleep on the table. But how did he end up on the bed? And it didn't seem to be his bed. "Awake?" Gu Jiao's voice sounded in his ear. The rain outside had lessened. The torrential rain turned into a patter of autumn rain. It was as if the surroundings were suddenly filled with the coolness of autumn. A dim oil lamp was left on the candlestick. Xiao Luleng turned his head to look at Gu Jiao, who was lying beside him. Her expression and voice were not drowsy at all. It was obvious that she had not slept. Under her gentle gaze, the lingering palpitations in his heart gradually calmed down. "What about me?" The moment he opened his mouth, he realized that his hoarse voice didn't sound like his at all. His throat also felt swollen and painful. Gu Jiao said, "You were caught in the rain today and fell ill. Before your family came back, you had a high fever. Jing Kong was taking care of you." Xiao Luleng was slightly stunned. "He takes care of me? Does that little monk know how to take care of people?" Gu Jiao bent her lips and pointed at the antipyretic patch on his forehead. "He put this on you." When little Jing Kong had a high fever, Gu Jiao put this patch on him. There was also a box at home. She didn't expect him to remember it. He even took it out and put it on Xiao Luleng. Xiao Luleng touched the cold and soft object on his forehead and felt a chill in hindsight. Needless to say, he guessed that it was from her small medicine box. He had seen the three of them put it on. Xiao Luleng had a high tolerance for strange objects in the small medicine box. On the contrary, he was quite surprised that little Jing Kong could take care of him. "The little guy knows how to take care of people?" he murmured. Gu Jiao bent her lips. "Not only that, he also fed you water, but you don't remember. At that time it was raining heavily. There was no one at home. He put on a light raincoat and went to the clinic to invite Dr. Song to his home. He went so far." Xiao Luleng was even more surprised. The little guy always made trouble at home. From time to time, he would sing a different tune, making everyone in a mess. It was easy to misunderstand him as a naughty and ignorant child. But in fact, he was far stronger and more sensible than children his age. Gu Jiao looked at him. "Why are you so surprised?" Xiao Luleng said truthfully. "I just didn't expect him to care about me so much." Gu Jiao said, "Compared to me, he is more worried about you. He said that you don't know how to take care of yourself. You don't even bring an umbrella in the rain. You are worse than a child like him." Xiao Luleng explained, "When I went out, I didn't expect it to rain. He went out too early. The sky was still dark, so he couldn't see the sky at all. When little Jing Kong went out, the sky was already rising. He had recently learned in the Imperial College, don't go out in the morning, but travel thousands of miles in the evening. He brought an umbrella and a raincoat with him. He was really a worry-free child. Gu Jiao smiled and said. Jing Kong also said, I know my brother-in-law went out early, but why didn't he buy an umbrella on the way? Why did he have to come back in the rain? So stupid. The corner of Xiao Liulang's mouth twitched. Well, she imitated his disdainful tone perfectly. Gu Jiao continued. He also asked me if I didn't give you any pocket money, so you couldn't even afford an umbrella. Xiao Lulang was speechless. How could a 4-year-old little monk come up with so many things in his mind? Gu Jiao lifted the quilt and got out of bed. She handed him a pill and poured a cup of hot water. Since you are awake, drink the pill. Xiao Lulang sat up, took the medicine and drank it. He also finished the water. Then he finally realized that something was wrong. Why am I lying on your bed? Gu Jiao blinked and said seriously, I didn't carry you here. Xiao Lulang was speechless. Go to sleep. Gu Jiao put down the teacup and decisively lay down on the bed, and pretended to be dead. Xiao Lulang also lay down, but he didn't sleep. Instead, he looked at her without blinking. Gu Jiao could feel his gaze even with her eyes closed. She opened her eyes and said, Yes, I forgot to turn off the light. As she spoke, she went to turn off the oil lamp and lay down again. The room was suddenly plunged into darkness and an eerie silence. Xiao Lulang could hear her uneven breathing. He still looked at her in the dark and said, If one day you find out that I am not who you think I am, will you be disappointed? Why should I be disappointed? Gu Jiao turned her head to look at him. Also, if you are not who I think you are, what do you think you are? Is your face fake? She raised her hand and pinched his face. No, he said. Gu Jiao's fingertips moved down and touched his chest. Is this fake? Xiao Lulang took a deep breath. No. What about this? Her little hand poked his abs again. Wherever her fingertips touched, it was soft and numb, making him feel as if he was on fire. Xiao Lulang quickly grabbed her restless little hand. He was worried that if he didn't stop her, her hand would move down and she might poke something she shouldn't. It's all so real. He said in a hoarse voice, Don't touch it. Gu Jiao. Oh. Xiao Lulang. Why does she sound so regretful? Xiao Lulang didn't let go of her hand, but he didn't use too much force. She could pull her hand out if she wanted. Gu Jiao did not do so. She turned her body to face him, as if she could really see him in the pitch-black darkness. Their breaths intertwined in the night. Suddenly she hooked his finger and asked, Since you're real from head to toe, I won't be disappointed. But what if the identity is fake? What if I'm not the person you think I am? Xiao Lulang composed himself, and used a great deal of courage to make himself speak. Have you ever thought that maybe I'm not the real? It was hard to say. Actually, Gu Jiao didn't mind. It didn't matter if he was the real Xiao Lulang or not. However, since he had brought it up to the surface, she was willing to be honest with him. Gu Jiao looked at him. Not the real what? Xiao Lulang tightened her hand. Not the real. Achoo. There was a sudden sneeze behind him. Xiao Liulang's body shook. He turned around and looked at the other side of him. The night was too dark, so he couldn't see anything. However, he reached out his hand and touched it. Sure enough, he touched a yawning squishy ball. Why is he here? Xiao Lulang was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. Fortunately, he didn't do anything to Gu Jiao. Otherwise, Gu Jiao said. He was worried about you, so he followed me. He probably wanted to pee, so he drank a bowl of snow pear soup before going to bed. As Gu Jiao spoke, she found a match on the bedside table and lit the oil lamp. Sure enough, little Jing Kong covered his little butt in a daze. He was dreaming. He dreamt that he was looking for a toilet. He finally found it. Let me do it, Xiao Lulang said. He lifted little Jing Kong up, and didn't even have time to take off his pants before little Jing Kong peed. It was a dark history. Xiao Lulang was pissed all over. He was speechless. The next morning, Xiao Lulang was fine except for a little sore throat and a hoarse voice. Little Jing Kong woke up comfortably on the Jiao Jiao bed. He felt refreshed. He stretched his body and walked out of the east room. At first glance, he saw Xiao Lulang sitting in the central room, organizing books. Last night, the books had been soaked by the rain that drifted in. This morning, the sky had cleared up, so he planned to take the books out to dry. He also saw little Jing Kong coming out of the east room. He raised his eyebrows and said, "You peed your pants last night." Little Jing Kong stared at him. "Nonsense. How could I pee the bed? I stopped peeing when I was 1. He was telling the truth. He was the only baby in the temple who didn't pee his pants. Xiao Luling laughed. "You can go and see if you don't believe me. You haven't washed your wet pants yet." Little Jing Kong ran to the backyard to take a look. It was the pants he wore before he went to bed. It was really wet. And he was wearing another pair of pants at this time. Little Jing Kong's body shook. He covered his mouth in disbelief. This. Xiao Lulang walked over and smiled. "How is it? I didn't lie to you, right?" Little Jing Kong waved his little fists and jumped anxiously. I didn't pee my pants. It must be you. You peed your pants. You peed on me and you're blaming me. You can see if you don't believe me. Your pants are here too. It's wet." Xiao Lulang. "You peed on me." Little Jing Kong firmly refused to believe that he peed his pants. "Bad brother-in-law, you peed your pants and blamed me after you peed. Shame on you." "Imph." Little Jing Kong snorted and walked away. Digression. Future Divine General of the Six Kingdoms. I don't have such a dark history. This article was posted on Sina Weibo account. Fong, the latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more fully. Millions of novels are free to read. All the novels that can't be found on the internet are available here. https://www.zhhbqg.com/89642_8964286/110556328. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in 1 second. www.zhhbqg.com Bikugo mobile reading website. zhhbqg.com. Chapter 413. The latest chapter of this book is not finished. For more wonderful content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is more complete and updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are all the novels with connotations that can't be found on the internet here. A while ago, Princess Ning went back to her parents' home to accompany her seriously ill mother. She didn't return to the prince's mansion until her mother got better. Because of this, Gu Jiao's visit to the prince's mansion to feel her pulse was delayed. Gu Jiao didn't know that Princess Ning had come back. Princess Rui Wang was the first to know. She hurriedly ordered the carriage to go to the prince's mansion. Sister-in-law. Princess Ning's carriage happened to stop at the gate of the mansion. She was about to get in when she heard Princess Rui Wang's happy voice. Princess Ning took back her foot that had stepped on the stool and turned to look at Princess Rui Wang, who got out of another carriage. She couldn't help laughing and said, "Slow down. How can you walk so fast with such a big belly?" Princess Rui Wang almost ran. She came to Princess Ning and said with a smile, "Aunt, are you feeling better?" "Yes, much better." Princess Ning nodded with a smile. "You are pregnant. Why don't you take care of the baby in the mansion? What are you doing here?" Princess Rui Wang said, "I heard that you came back, so I came to see you. I have nothing to do in the mansion these 2 months, so I learned some cooking skills. This is the dried apricot I made myself. Please don't dislike it." As soon as she finished speaking, Maid Su behind her handed over the clay jar with the dried apricot. The maid beside Princess Ning reached out to take it. Princess Ning thanked her. "You are so considerate. I am going to the palace to greet my mother and consort Zhuang. Do you want to come with me?" Princess Rui Wang smiled. "That's what I want to do." Princess Ning glanced at her bulging belly. She hesitated for a moment and said, "But your body." Princess Rui Wang waved her hand and said, "It's okay. I can take the carriage." A trace of envy flashed through Princess Ning's eyes. She took her hand. "Well, come on." The two got into Princess Ning's carriage. They soon arrived at the imperial palace. Princess Ning took care of Rui Wang carefully. She was even more careful than Rui Wang. Consort Rui Wang wanted to say that she didn't need to be so nervous. It was as if she was not pregnant. But when she thought that Consort Ning had 3 miscarriages, she closed her mouth again. She played along and pretended to be more cautious than usual. She also slowed down her pace. Is it hard to be pregnant? Princess Ning chatted with her on the way to Cunning Palace. Consort Rui Wang's eyes flashed. It's been hard. I can't sleep in the middle of the night and my calf cramps. Nanny always asked her this, but she had never done it. If it wasn't tiring, it was probably because he had to go to the toilet all the time. Now, she was feeling a little like that again. What's wrong? Princess Ning asked, looking at Princess Rui Wang, whose face was wrinkled. Rui Wang said embarrassedly, I want to pee. Princess Ning. There's a washroom over there. I'll go with you. Consort Rui Wang. No need. I'll go by myself. I'm worried about you going alone. Princess Ning insisted on sending Consort Rui Wang to the washroom. Consort Rui Wang had no choice. When the two arrived outside the washroom, they never expected to see the Crown Prince Consort coming out from inside. The 3 of them paused for a moment. The Crown Prince Consort's status was higher than the other consorts, but she still politely called Princess Ning's sister-in-law. Consort Rui Wang rolled her eyes. She didn't like Wen Linlang and didn't even bother to be polite. Especially after she caught Wen Linlang entangling with another man last time. She disliked Wen Linlang even more. Everyone knew that Prince Ning and the Crown Prince didn't get along, so Princess Ning clearly kept a certain distance from the Crown Prince Consort. But on the surface they were still decent. She nodded slightly to greet the Crown Prince Consort. The Crown Prince Consort said, I still have something to do, so I'll leave first. Goodbye, eldest sister-in-law. Goodbye, third sister-in-law. Princess Ning. Goodbye. When Linlang responded to her with rolling eyes. After the Crown Prince Consort left, Princess Ning said to Consort Rui Wang, Okay, you can go. Okay. Consort Rui Wang went to the washroom. This was the disadvantage of being pregnant. It was too easy to go to the toilet. Consort Rui Wang came out of the washroom, washed her hands, and moisturized them with hand oil. Then she went to Empress Zhao's Cunning Palace with Princess Ning. They weren't Empress Zhao's legitimate daughters-in-law, so they came out of the Cunning Palace after showing enough courtesy. After that, the two went to noble consort Zhuang's everlasting palace. This time, the two stayed longer. Noble consort Zhuang was looking forward to the baby in consort Rui Wang's belly. After all, it was a member of her family. Rui Wang and her husband were favored, and Prince Ning was like a tiger with wings. You have to give birth to a son. Noble consort Zhuang took consort Rui Wang's hand and said. Consort Rui Wang smiled embarrassedly. It's not up to me to decide. Noble consort Zhuang thought for a while and asked, Do you like sour or spicy food? Consort Rui Wang said honestly, I like both. Sometimes I want to eat spicy food, sometimes sour food, and sometimes sweet food. Princess Ning looked a little absent-minded. Noble consort Zhuang was worried about her daughter-in-law's mood, so she didn't talk about the baby anymore. She called her personal nanny. Go ask where Prince Ning and Rui Wang are. If they are in the palace, let them come to the everlasting palace for dinner. Also, invite Consort Yu over. Consort Yu was the third prince's mother. After the prince was separated, he could no longer enter and leave the palace as freely as before. But with noble consort Zhuang's status, it wasn't difficult for her to see her son. Not long after, Prince Ning and Rui Wang came over from the throne room. Prince. Consort Ning bowed to Prince Ning. Prince Ning hurriedly came over to support her and held her hand. His eyes were full of tenderness. You don't have to be so reserved here with consort mother. It's just like in the mansion. Consort Ning smiled, yes. Soon, Consort Yu also arrived and hurriedly asked the palace servants to set up the meal. Noble consort Zhuang and Consort Yu sat together, and the two couples sat on either side of them. Prince Ning and his wife's manners were very elegant and generous, and they treated each other with respect. Rui Wang and his wife were also very serious on the surface, but in private, Rui Wang rubbed his legs against his wife's legs. Consort Rui Wang glared at him. Eat your food. Rui Wang peeled a shrimp for his wife and put it in consort Rui Wang's bowl. Only then did he realize that everyone's eyes were on him. He was shocked and almost forgot that this was the palace, not his own mansion, so he had to follow the rules. The couple couldn't help but feel embarrassed. Prince Ning smiled gently. The shrimp in Consort Mother's palace is very good. He also peeled one for Consort Ning. Sushin should also try it. Sushin was the name Prince Ning gave to Consort Ning after the wedding. Consort Ning smiled gently. Thank you, Prince. After lunch, noble consort Zhuang went to rest. They came out of the everlasting palace. Consort Yu returned to her own palace, and the four of them walked out of the palace together. Be careful. When they passed by a big tree, Prince Ning blocked Consort Ning's head with his hand. When he took his hand down, they found that there was a worm on the back of his hand. Rui Wangfei didn't know the name of this kind of tree. She could only frequently see worms spitting out silk hanging from the bottom of the tree. There was a worm hanging in front of her. If Prince Ning hadn't shouted, she would have bumped into it. Consort Rui Wang sighed. Big brother is so attentive. Consort Rui Wang muttered. I'm also very attentive. Consort Rui Wang complained. Oh, then how come Prince didn't notice the worm in front of me? Rui Wang scratched his head. What was it? Consort Rui Wang looked at him and asked. I was about to get rid of it for you. Rui Wang firmly refused to admit that he didn't notice this little thing. Consort Rui Wang snorted. You're not as attentive as Big Brother. Rui Wang couldn't refute this. Big Brother was the most attentive of all the princes. He was attentive to his sister-in-law and his younger brothers. He couldn't even find fault with the crown prince's sworn enemy. The mood of a pregnant woman sometimes came inexplicably. Consort Rui Wang, who was still quarreling with Rui Wang a second ago, became sad the next second. Say, if this child can't be saved, will you still be as good to me as Big Brother is to his sister-in-law? Rui Wang glared at her and said, What nonsense are you talking about? How can the child not be saved? Don't jinx it. My son is fine. Consort Rui Wang sighed. Aren't I just making assumptions? I just think that Big Brother is really good to his sister-in-law. Rui Wang couldn't refute this. That's right, Prince Ning and Consort Ning knew each other when they were young. They weren't childhood sweethearts, but they didn't get married in secret either. After they got married, the two got along well. The only regret was Consort Ning's belly. Fortunately, Prince Ning never neglected her because she couldn't give birth to a child. In front of Consort Zhuang, he also said good things about Consort Ning. Consort Zhuang wasn't an easy person to get along with. The fact that the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law could get along so well couldn't be attributed to Prince Ning. This was a man who would never wrong his wife. Consort Rui Wang pinched the corner of Rui Wang's clothes and said coquettishly, Promise me that you'll treat me like Big Brother is to his sister-in-law. You'll be so good to me for the rest of your life. The latest chapter of this book isn't finished yet. For more wonderful content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is more complete and updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are novels with connotations that can't be found on the internet here. https://www.zhhbqg.com/89642_896428266/110553857. HTML Genius remembers this site's address in a second. www.zhhbqg.com Bikuga mobile version reading website. zhhbqg.com. Chapter 414. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more wonderful content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is more complete and updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are novels with connotations that can't be found on the internet here. Rui Wang pinched her face. Silly, what's so difficult about this? You are my wife. If I don't treat you well, who should I treat well? Ahem. Prince Ning cleared his throat. Let's go. Consort Rui Wang hurriedly withdrew her hand. Rui Wang also scratched his head embarrassedly. After that, the two seemed to avoid each other deliberately. They wished they could get out of the carriage. However, Prince Ning ignored the gazes of others and held Consort Ning's hand in public. The folk customs and customs of this dynasty were more open than those of the previous dynasty, but they were rarely so intimate outside. Consort Ning was a little uncomfortable. Prince Ning's smile was so gentle that it was hard to refuse. The four of them went out of the imperial palace. The carriages of the two manors had been waiting outside for a long time. Consort Rui Wang naturally went back with Rui Wang. Prince Ning should also go back to Prince Ning's mansion with Consort Ning. Unexpectedly, Prince Ning held Consort Ning's hand and said, "Father wants me to go to the imperial study in the afternoon. You go back first." Consort Ning hurriedly said, "Since you have official business, why didn't you say so earlier?" Prince Ning smiled and said, "I want to see you off, but I have to see you get on the carriage first." Consort Rui Wang was very envious. What kind of celestial love did eldest brother have for eldest sister-in-law? Consort Ning said, "Then you go to see father quickly. I'm going back." Prince Ning smiled and said, "Okay." Consort Ning pulled back her hand and turned to get on the carriage of Prince Ning's mansion. Rui Wang said goodbye to Prince Ning. "Then eldest brother, we will go first." Prince Ning nodded. "Pay attention to the thing I told you. I will ask father for a reward for you later." Rui Wang laughed heartily. "Okay. What did eldest brother ask you to do?" Consort Rui Wang asked in a low voice. "I'll tell you later." Rui Wang pulled his wife towards Rui Wang Fu's carriage. Just as he was about to help Consort Rui Wang onto the carriage, another carriage suddenly appeared on the official road in front of the palace gates. The speed of the carriage was so fast that it didn't slow down even as it neared the entrance of the palace, almost crashing into it. Fortunately, the carriage stopped when it was only a carriage's distance away. At this moment, Ning Wang was already standing in front of the carriage. He held a sword in his hand, as if he would kill the horse if the other party didn't stop the carriage in time. The curtain of the carriage was pulled open, and a handsome man with wheat-colored skin jumped out. His facial features were resolute, and his eyes were deep. When he smiled, his eyes were especially bright. He held a folding fan in his hand, looking carefree and unrestrained. He didn't tie up his hair today, only a finger braid at the back of his head. A few strands of black hair hung down from the right side of his face, perfectly blocking one side of his face. "Oh, what a coincidence! Isn't this Your Highness Ning Wang and Your Highness Rui Wang?" He held the folding fan in his hand and cupped his hands in greeting. Rui Wang frowned. "The sixth prince. That's right. This person was the hostage of the state of Chen, as well as the sixth prince of the state of Chen's imperial family, Yuan Tang." Yuan Tang's attire today was a bit strange. His long hair hung down, giving off a feeling that he was hugging a pipa and covering half of his face. However, he wasn't a pale-faced scholar, but a wheat-colored handsome man who exuded a masculine aura. His image was a bit hard to describe in words. Yuan Tang smiled and said, "Your Highness Rui Wang, long time no see. This must be Consort Rui Wang? We met once a few years ago." Ning Wang stealthily blocked Rui Wang and his wife behind him. He said to Yuan Tang, "Is the sixth prince going to ride a horse in the palace?" Yuan Tang cupped his hands in greeting and said with a smile, I wouldn't dare. I was in too much of a hurry to greet your highnesses, so I was a bit fast." Ning Wang said indifferently, "We're not familiar with each other. There's no need to greet each other." Yuan Tang raised his eyebrows and smiled. "Is this how your country treats its guests?" Ning Wang said coldly, "You're a hostage, not a guest." Yuan Tang rubbed his chest. This really hurts my self-esteem. I originally found a talking parrot outside the palace, and wanted to enjoy it with your highnesses. However, it seems that your highnesses aren't interested in enjoying it with Yuan Tang. In that case, Yuan Tang will take his leave." After he finished speaking, he cupped his hands in greeting and turned to walk towards his carriage. The moment he brushed past Consort Rui Wang, the cold wind blew his beautiful hair. It was all because his appearance was too eye-catching that Consort Rui Wang subconsciously glanced at him. "Ah!" Consort Rui Wang cried out in alarm and the handkerchief in her hand fell to the ground. "Consort Rui Wang, this is..." Yuan Tang looked back in confusion. Consort Rui Wang turned around and approached Rui Wang's chest. Rui Wang hurriedly protected her in his arms and coldly glared at Yuan Tang. You scared this prince's princess. Then I'm sorry. Yuan Tang cupped his hands in greeting and bowed again. After Yuan Tang left, Ningguang looked at Rui Wang and his wife with concern. What happened just now? The handkerchief on the ground had already been picked up and put away by the servants. Rui Wang patted consort Rui Wang's shoulder to comfort her. That's right, did that guy deliberately scare you just now? Consort Rui Wang shook her head. No, I was just too surprised. Rui Wang didn't understand. What are you surprised about? It's not like you haven't seen him before. Yuan Tang was a hostage of the state of Chun, and usually didn't attend the gatherings of the imperial family of the state of Zhao. However, when he first came to the state of Zhao, the emperor still held a welcoming banquet for him, and the envoy of the state of Chun in order to show the bearing of the imperial family of the state of Zhao. Consort Rui Wang thought carefully and still told him that she had seen the crown princess meeting someone in private. You? Rui Wang was so shocked that he stuttered. You didn't hear wrong? Was it really the crown princess and Yuan Tang? Consort Rui Wang recalled. They deliberately lowered their voices so I couldn't tell whose voice it was. However, I heard the crown princess say, "What did you do to Chunying?" Chunying is the crown princess' personal female official. After that, I saw the crown princess walk out from behind the rockery, so I was certain that woman was the crown princess. Then how were you certain that man was Yuan Tang? It was King Ning who spoke. Consort Rui Wang frowned and said, I heard the crown princess slap him from behind the rockery. Just now, I saw that Yuan Tang's face was red and swollen. There were streaks that looked like finger marks, so I immediately thought of that man. This didn't sound like anything honorable. The current crown princess actually colluded with a hostage of the state of Chun. If this got out, she would be beheaded. Rui Wang said in disbelief. This Yuan Tang is too daring. And the crown princess, why would she collude with a hostage of the state of Chun? She doesn't seem like that kind of person. Consort Rui Wang snorted. What do you mean she doesn't seem like that kind of person? You men are all blind. I already told you that she isn't a decent woman. She dared to hook up with the crown prince when she was engaged to Xiaoheng. Who can say that she won't hook up with other men now that she has the crown prince? Rui Wang retorted. What are you saying? Who's blind? You. As soon as Consort Rui Wang finished speaking, she remembered that Prince Ning was also here. She smiled embarrassedly. Eldest brother isn't blind. Eldest brother is the person with the brightest eyes in the entire palace. Don't think that I don't know that you secretly liked Wen Linlang. So did Old Fourth. Only eldest brother doesn't like her. Rui Wang choked. That was many years ago. He was young and inexperienced and was stunned by Wen Linlang's beauty. However, didn't he not see Wen Linlang after that? His heart and eyes only had her, Du Qianqian in them. Rui Wang said, speaking of which, if she really... I'm saying if she really did this, then would she be worthy of the crown prince? Would she be worthy of imperial father and the people of the state of Zhao? Eldest brother, should we report this to imperial father as soon as possible? If she had hooked up with other men, they would have made the crown prince's head turn into a grassland. However, it just had to be a hostage of the state of Chun. The severity of this matter was huge. Prince Ning paused and said, Don't be anxious. Empty words have no proof. We have to find evidence first. As he spoke, he looked sternly at Consort Rui Wang. Third sister-in-law, can you take responsibility for your words? Are you sure you didn't hear wrong? Consort Rui Wang carefully recalled and nodded with certainty. I'm sure. Prince Ning continued. Then you didn't act rashly and alert the enemy, right? I mean, you didn't run to the crown princess to confirm, right? Consort Rui Wang shook her head. Of course I didn't. However, she still saw me when she came out from behind the rockery. I said that I had just arrived there. I don't know if she believed me. Prince Ning nodded. Then, at that time, other than you, was there anyone else who heard the commotion behind the rockery? Consort Rui Wang almost blurted out Miss Gu. However, she shook her head. No. Originally, I wouldn't have been discovered. However, my personal maid and Miss Gu came over. The crown princess also saw them. Prince Ning stared at her. Are you sure they didn't hear you? Consort Rui Wang said. They came and called out to me. That's why the crown princess was alerted. These words allowed Gu Jiao to get a free ride with the maid. Actually, her eldest brother was someone she could trust. However, she didn't want to involve Gu Jiao. Once her eldest brother went to ask Gu Jiao for confirmation, then the crown princess and Yuan Tang might notice Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao would be in danger. Prince Ning said with a grave expression, I know. Don't make this matter public. I will investigate the truth of the matter. It won't be too late to report to Imperial Father after I get conclusive evidence. Consort Rui Wang deeply agreed. Eldest brother is right. After all, the crown princess wasn't an ordinary woman. She was the most respected Wangfei in the imperial family of Zhao country. In the future, she would be the mother of the country. It would be fine if there was evidence to accuse her. However, if there wasn't enough evidence and she was bitten, then her eldest brother's years of painstaking effort would be wasted. Thinking of something, Rui Wang said worriedly. Then will Qianqian be in danger? The crown princess saw her. If she tells Yuan Tang that their conversation might have been overheard by Qianqian, will Yuan Tang come to silence her? Yuan Tang's martial arts are so high, and she even tried to assassinate Imperial Father. The more she said, the more frightened Rui Wang became. How did his wife encounter this kind of thing? Ning Wang smiled warmly, replying, I will send someone to Rui Wang Fu to protect Sandaimei. Sandaimei, try not to leave the Fu in the next few days. If you have to leave the Fu, take the shadow guards I sent over. Rui Wang's heart returned to his stomach. He cupped his hands and smiled. That would be great. I thank eldest brother on behalf of Qianqian. Prince Ning patted him on the shoulder and said, We're a family. The medical center. Gu Jiao had just returned from outside. She treated a guest's injury and put his dislocated left arm back in place. The second boss walked over and knocked on her door. He smiled and said, Little Gu, are you free later? Speak. Gu Jiao said concisely. The second boss walked in and said with a smile, Do you still remember what day it is tomorrow? What day? Gu Jiao asked. The second boss said with hurt, You really forgot. Gu Jiao pulled out her memory in a second. Isn't it a gathering of the Chamber of Commerce? A genius's brain would never disappoint. The second boss smiled. That's right. It's a gathering of the Chamber of Commerce. It's at the Four Seas Manor in the eastern suburbs of the capital. I will send someone to pick you up at Jadewater Alley tomorrow morning. Gu Jiao said, Oh, how many days will I be gone? The second boss gestured with his fingers. 3 days. It won't be long. Okay. Gu Jiao nodded. The second boss looked at her suspiciously. Little Gu. Gu Jiao. Yes. The second boss said, Have you gained weight? Your clothes are too small. Are they? Gu Jiao looked down at her body. She didn't feel it. Gu Jiao took a ruler to measure her waist. She had been exercising a lot recently and had lost half an inch. However, her clothes were too small. They were indeed too small. It was not other parts of her body that were too small. It was the lapel that could not be closed. Gu Jiao had a headache. If she continued to grow like this, it would be difficult for her to dress as a man. The medical center was especially busy today. The second boss was soon called away by shopkeeper Wang. Little Jiangli came over. Sister Gu, there is someone outside the door. She said she is looking for you. Gu Jiao buried her head in sorting out the information of the previous patient. She said, Is it a patient? Line up. Little Jiangli shook her head. It's not a patient. It's a madam. She said she knows you and that you promised to visit her to treat her madam. I promised to visit her madam to treat her madam? Did I? Gu Jiao searched her mind and made sure there was no such memory. She asked little Jiangli to reply to the madam. After a while, little Jiangli came again. This time, she had a token in her hand. Sister Gu, the madam said you will know after you see her. Let me see. Gu Jiao reached out and took the token. The token had the emblem of the royal family of the Zhao kingdom and a big Ning character. It was someone from Prince Ning's mansion. Yes, she had promised Prince Ning that she would visit Princess Ning's house to treat her body. However, before she could go to Prince Ning's mansion, Princess Ning went back to visit her parents. Although her parents were also in the capital, it was strange to go to her parents' house to check her pulse. Gu Jiao said to little Jiangli, "I have 3 more patients here. Ask the madam to wait for a while. If there are more patients, arrange them to be with Dr. Song and Dr. Liu." "Got it, Sister Gu." Little Jiangli left obediently. Little Jiangli was small, but she was very considerate. After Gu Jiao finished checking the 3 patients, little Jiangli led the female official beside Princess Ning in. The female official greeted Gu Jiao politely, "Dr. Gu." Gu Jiao asked, "Did Princess Ning come back?" The female official smiled and said, "That's right. Our Princess Ning came back last night. Today, she went to the palace to pay respects to the Empress and Imperial concubine. When she came back in the afternoon, she suddenly felt a tightness in her chest. I heard from the prince that Dr. Gu's medical skills are excellent, so I specially asked Dr. Gu to go to the mansion to check the Princess Ning's pulse." The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that you can't find on the internet are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_896428226/110532202. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikugo mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 415. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. Gu Jiao didn't have anything else to do, and it wasn't too late. Prince Ning's mansion and Hanlin Academy were in the same direction. After treating Princess Ning's illness, she could pick up Xiao Lulang on the way. Gu Jiao said, "Okay, wait for me first. I'll pack my things." The female officer smiled and said, "We've prepared the carriage. After treating Princess Ning's illness, we'll take you wherever you want to go." Gu Jiao shook her head. "No need to trouble yourself. I'll take the medical center's carriage." The female officer responded, "We'll listen to Dr. Gu." Gu Jiao got on the carriage with a small basket on her back. The small basket contained her medicine box, some commonly used Chinese medicine, and some travel items. The basket didn't look big, but it could hold a lot of things. Xiao Sanzi drove the carriage. Their carriage followed Prince Ning's carriage, and they arrived at Prince Ning's mansion without any obstruction. It was the first time Gu Jiao entered an ancient prince's mansion. Last time, when she sent Princess Ruiwang home, she didn't go in. This time, she could take the opportunity to see what the prince's mansion looked like. Prince Ning's mansion covered a large area. There was a whole street that belonged to Prince Ning's mansion. Of course, it was just a small street, not a commercial street like Chang and Street and Xuanwu Street. On both sides of the street were the residences of Prince Ning's mansion servants. The closer they got to the mansion, the stricter the security became. Presumably, the people living there were not ordinary people. The status of doctors in Zhao country wasn't high, and the status of female doctors was even lower. It was reasonable to say that they weren't qualified to go through the main gate. However, Gu Jiao's identity was special. The female officer of Prince Ning's mansion still took her through the south gate. However, she didn't open the main gate in the middle, but the side gate. This was the rule of the royal family. Only the prince, Princess Ning, and the legitimate bloodline of the royal family could go through the main gate. Otherwise, the emperor, empress, and empress dowager could go through the main gate. Even if Princess Zhuang came, she could only enter through the side gate. The maid told Gu Jiao that her surname was Yao. Gu Jiao made a no sound in her heart. She had the same surname as Yao Shi. What a coincidence. The landscape of Prince Ning's mansion was more standard than expected, which complemented Prince Ning's temperament. But some details of the design, such as pavilions, waterside corridors, birdsong and fragrant flowers, were obviously designed by Princess Ning. Maid Yao took Gu Jiao to Princess Ning's courtyard. Recalling that Ning Wang had once said that if she, Xiong Batian, was willing, he could give her a separate courtyard, Gu Jiao was suddenly a little curious as to where Ning Wang had originally planned to settle her down. "Dr. Gu, we're here," female official Yao said to Gu Jiao at the entrance of the courtyard. Gu Jiao nodded and stepped over the threshold into Princess Ning's courtyard. This was a 3-section courtyard, but it was much larger than an ordinary 3-section courtyard. In fact, Gu Jiao felt that rather than calling it a courtyard, it would be more appropriate to call it a sleeping chamber. It seemed that the emperor's love for his eldest son was beyond words. Gu Jiao came to the door of the upper room. A maid guarding outside the door saluted to female official Yao and opened the curtain for female official Yao. Female official Yao personally welcomed Gu Jiao into the room. Princess Ning sat on the chaise lounge with her back against the cushion and a thin mattress covering her body. She held a book in her hand and was reading it attentively. This was not the first time that Gu Jiao met Princess Ning, but that was in a dream. Princess Ning was knocked down by a white cat that scared Xiao Lulang, causing a miscarriage. Xiao Lulang was the scapegoat. The white cat was taken away with the help of Yuan Tang. It did not scare Xiao Lulang, nor did it offend Princess Ning. But Princess Ning still had a miscarriage. Consort Rui Wang said that Princess Ning had 3 miscarriages. It was not difficult to understand why her complexion was so bad, and there seemed to be a faint sadness between her eyebrows. "Princess, Dr. Gu is here." Female official Yao walked forward and reported softly. Princess Ning raised her head. She held the half-read book with one hand and stretched out the other hand. The little maid on the side seemed to have understood the meaning of this action. She hurriedly presented a bookmark with both hands. Princess Ning put the bookmark in the book and closed it. She looked at Gu Jiao and said, "You are Dr. Gu? I heard the prince mention you. Imperial grandmother likes you very much." Her eyes swept over the birthmark on Gu Jiao's face, but did not stay for too long. She did not show any surprise or mind. This was the cultivation of the legitimate daughter of an aristocratic family and the princess of a country. She would not embarrass the guest on the spot. Although Gu Jiao was a female doctor, her status was destined to be higher because of Empress Dowager Zhuang's love. Princess Ning said, "We are all family. Don't be so reserved. Sit down." Her words were also very particular. She did not give a seat, nor did she speak in a tone of charity. She spoke as if she was treating a real guest. Gu Jiao sat down beside her. Before sitting down, she took down the small basket and put it on another chair. "Princess, what are you reading?" she asked. Mentioning this, Princess Ning smiled faintly. "Some poetry books. Do you want to read?" She handed the book to Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao shook her head. "I don't understand poetry and I don't like it." Princess Ning laughed again. "I don't like it either." Gu Jiao said, "Then why are you reading it?" Princess Ning smiled faintly. "It's boring in the mansion. I just want to pass the time." Although she said that, Gu Jiao felt that she was not just killing time. Instead, it was more like she was forcing herself to do something she did not like, but had to do. Gu Jiao said to her, "Let me feel your pulse." Princess Ning reached out her hand. A maid came forward and wanted to put a handkerchief on Princess Ning's wrist. Princess Ning said, "No need." "Yes." The maid took the handkerchief and left. Gu Jiao began to feel Princess Ning's pulse. The room quieted down. Princess Ning's pulse was as Gu Jiao expected. Gu Jiao asked, "How is your sleep? Is it difficult to fall asleep?" Princess Ning smiled bitterly. "A little bit." Gu Jiao looked directly at Maid Yao beside Princess Ning. "How long do you usually fall asleep after going to bed?" Maid Yao looked at Princess Ning. Seeing that Princess Ning did not stop her, she said honestly, "At least an hour, at most she may not sleep all night." Gu Jiao nodded thoughtfully and said, "How's your appetite?" "Not very good." Maid Yao replied, "I can't eat it. When I finally eat it, it's hard to digest." Gu Jiao nodded and took back her hand. She said to Princess Ning, "Judging from your pulse, You have a weak spleen and stomach. It's not a difficult disease. With your condition, you can get better in 1 or 2 months. Have you seen a doctor? Princess Ning said. Yes, I have. It's the same as you said. She will be fine after taking medicine. If she stops taking medicine, she will relapse. So the crux of the problem was not the spleen deficiency, but the heart disease. Gu Jiao said to Princess Ning, please ask others to leave. Princess Ning did not hesitate. You can leave. Only the 2 of them were left in the room. Gu Jiao made a comprehensive evaluation and diagnosis of Princess Ning, and found that she was slightly depressed. It was not to the extent that Yao Shi had been in the beginning, but if she ignored it, it was very likely that it would develop into a more serious state than Yao Shi. Gu Jiao didn't say to Princess Ning, you have to take it easy. For patients with depression, taking it easy was the same as drinking more hot water. If you took it easy, you wouldn't be depressed. If you didn't take it easy, you were really sick. Gu Jiao opened the small medicine box. Since Yao Shi recovered, there was no antidepressant in the small medicine box. Today it appeared again. Gu Jiao took out 2 boxes of antidepressants. She opened them and put them in a porcelain bottle. She handed it to her. 1 in the morning and 1 in the evening. Try to take it before you go to bed. Princess Ning took it and asked, is this the medicine for spleen deficiency? Gu Jiao said, no, it's the medicine that can let you sleep well. You can continue to take the medicine for spleen deficiency. Princess Ning sighed. I don't want to take the previous one. It's too bitter. Gu Jiao thought for a moment and said, that's fine. I'll have someone send a few bottles of pills to Princess Ning later. The Miracle Hand Hall opened their own medicine workshop. Other than making the wound medicine that the military needed, they also opened a few pill production lines. Among them were pills that strengthened the spleen and stomach. Is it bitter? Princess Ning asked. Gu Jiao said, I put honey in it. It's not bitter. Princess Ning sighed. That's good. A high and mighty Princess Ning was actually afraid of taking bitter medicine. This understanding made Gu Jiao feel that Princess Ning was not the same as she thought. After this, Gu Jiao reminded Princess Ning of some things to pay attention to in her daily life. The main things were the taboos in her diet, and that she had to come out more often to bask in the sun, take a walk, and move her body. After doing all this, Gu Jiao planned to leave. I'll have someone send the medicine to Princess Ning in a moment. Princess Ning said, don't bother. I'll send someone to get it. That's fine. Gu Jiao did not refuse. Princess Ning wanted to pay Gu Jiao's consultation fee. Gu Jiao said, His Highness Prince Ning will pay. Princess Ning was stunned and smiled. Okay. This was the first real smile that Gu Jiao saw when she entered the room. Did she only smile like this when Prince Ning was mentioned? Gu Jiao packed her things and made Yao walk her out. As soon as the 2 arrived at the gate of Prince Ning's mansion, they unexpectedly met Prince Ning, who was getting out of the carriage. Your Highness. Female official Yao hurriedly bowed in greeting. Prince Ning nodded slightly and looked at Gu Jiao. He showed a gentle smile. It's Dr. Gu. I didn't expect you to come. Maid Yao said. Princess Ning had a bit of chest tightness in the afternoon. I remembered that Your Highness said Dr. Gu's medical skills were excellent, so I went to the Miracle Hall to invite Dr. Gu over. Prince Ning nodded approvingly. You did well. You can leave. I want to talk to Dr. Gu about Princess Ning's illness. Then I'll go to the Miracle Hall to get the medicine, Maid Yao said. Maid Yao got on the carriage. Prince Ning pointed at the mansion. If Dr. Gu is not in a hurry, why don't you go to the reception pavilion? Gu Jiao said. I'm in a hurry. If Your Highness has something to say, please say it quickly. Also, since we've met, I'll have to trouble Your Highness to pay the consultation fee. Okay. Prince Ning took out a 50-tael banknote from his pocket. 100 taels, Gu Jiao said. The Princess of Xinyang gave 100 taels, directly breaking the upper limit of her consultation fee. Prince Ning paused. For a moment, he inexplicably felt that Gu Jiao's exorbitant demand was familiar, as if he had seen it somewhere before. Gu Jiao crossed her arms and said, I said before the consultation fee isn't cheap. That's right, Gu Jiao had kindly reminded him. Prince Ning hadn't haggled at the time, so it was even more impossible for him to haggle after she finished treating Princess Ning's illness. But Prince Ning hadn't expected that the price she said wasn't cheap would be this high. Prince Ning's heart felt stifled. It wasn't that he couldn't afford it, but there was an unspeakable stifling feeling. In the end, Prince Ning still paid the 100 tael banknote. Gu Jiao took the banknote. What does your highness want to ask? Speak. Spending money really was different. Her business attitude was even better. Prince Ning was startled by her suddenly good tone. He opened his mouth and asked, "It's about Princess Ning's illness. I want to know what's wrong with her." Gu Jiao said, "Her spleen and stomach are weak, that's one reason. She's overly worried, that's the second reason." Prince Ning's brows furrowed. Overly worried? Gu Jiao made a sound of N. It's depression. In the words of ordinary people, it's a heart disease. I've prescribed medicine for it. But Your Highness Prince Ning should take care of Princess Ning's mood. Is it because of the child? Princess Ning and I have been married for many years. We've always wanted to have a child of our own. Unfortunately, the heavens didn't fulfill our wishes. This time the child couldn't be saved. He used the word again. It seemed unintentional, but he was telling Gu Jiao that this wasn't the first time Princess Ning had a miscarriage. Gu Jiao had heard from consort Rui Wang that Princess Ning had had 3 miscarriages, so she wasn't surprised. She had always been calm, so Prince Ning didn't think her reaction was suspicious. Prince Ning asked, "Can Princess Ning have children in the future?" Gu Jiao said, "It's hard to say. The most important thing now is Princess Ning's illness." Prince Ning nodded and said, "Then does she know?" Gu Jiao said, "I didn't say anything about the depression." Prince Ning secretly breathed a sigh of relief. "Fortunately, you didn't say anything. I don't want her to worry about her illness. I'll pay attention in the future." Gu Jiao nodded. "Goodbye." Prince Ning stopped her. "I heard." "Yes?" Gu Jiao looked back at him. Prince Ning said with gentle eyes, "Dr. Gu went to the palace yesterday and saw consort Rui Wang and Crown Princess." Gu Jiao didn't deny it. She said frankly, "Is there a problem?" Prince Ning smiled. "No. It's third sister. It's third sister-in-law who mentioned Miss Gu to me. It's not the first time that third sister-in-law has been with Dr. Gu. You two seem to have a good relationship. If Dr. Gu doesn't mind, you can come and accompany Princess Ning more often in the future." Gu Jiao glanced at him and said, "I'm a doctor. I only need to accompany patients." Prince Ning laughed. "I'm being rude." Gu Jiao withdrew her gaze and left Prince Ning's mansion. She asked Xiao Sanzi to drive the carriage to Hanlin Academy. Unfortunately, Xiao Lulang was called to work overtime again. Kong Mu knew Gu Jiao and knew that she was Xiao Liulang's wife. He said to her, he went to the cabinet. "I heard that Grand Secretary Yuan needed more people and personally selected this year's 3 cauldrons to go over." The 3 cauldrons were Xiao Lulang, Royal Princeton, and Ning Ziyuan. Gu Jiao rubbed her chin. Grand Secretary Yuan had a good reputation, and he might be a future relative. He wasn't a bad person. She didn't need to worry about her husband. Xiao Sanzi asked, "Miss Gu, are we going back to the medical center or to Clearwater Alley?" Gu Jiao thought for a moment. "Let's go back to the medical center first." Gu Jiao returned to the medical center and put a banknote of 100 taels on the counter. Shopkeeper Wang looked at her in surprise. "What's this?" "The consultation fee." Gu Jiao said. "No. You only went out to see a doctor once. How did you bring back so much consultation fee?" Shopkeeper Wang said. He remembered that last time, she had also mysteriously brought back 100 taels from Vermilion Bird Avenue. Shopkeeper Wang blinked. "Miss Gu, you didn't go to rob someone, did you?" Gu Jiao looked at him lazily. "Who are you looking down on?" Shopkeeper Wang smiled embarrassedly. You're right. Miss Gu is a gentleman. Why would you rob someone?" Before he could finish speaking, he heard Gu Jiao say, "What's so good about robbing 100 taels? If you want to do something, you should do something big." Shopkeeper Wang was speechless. Gu Jiao didn't stay in the medical center for long before consort Rui Wang came over. Gu Jiao didn't see any patients today. Consort Rui Wang went to her courtyard with ease. Gu Jiao was drying medicinal herbs. Consort Rui Wang walked over and happily called out to Miss Gu. Consort Rui Wang? Gu Jiao greeted her in surprise. Consort Rui Wang gasped. You left too quickly. If you were half an hour later, we would have met at Prince Ning's mansion. Gu Jiao asked. You went to Prince Ning's mansion? Consort Rui Wang said with a serious expression. I heard that Princess Ning wasn't feeling well, so I went to see her. That's strange. She was fine when she went to the palace in the morning. Why did her chest feel tight and uncomfortable when she went back? What's wrong with her? So Princess Ning was fine in the morning, but felt uncomfortable in the afternoon. Did something happen to her? People with depression couldn't stand being stimulated. However, it wasn't only stimulated that would cause the illness. Sometimes the patient's mood would suddenly become low, and they couldn't control it at all. Gu Jiao wouldn't talk about the patient's condition with people other than the patient's family. She chose her words carefully and said, her spleen and stomach are weak. She hasn't completely recovered after the miscarriage. Her body needs to be carefully nursed back to health. She may feel a little uncomfortable in her heart. Consort Rui Wang sighed. Sai's sister-in-law is so pitiful. Fortunately, eldest brother is a good man and has always loved her. Ah, right, I met the hostage of Chun State today. Consort Rui Wang's expression became serious. So he was the man who met the crown princess in private behind the rockery. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is more complete and updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are novels with connotations that can't be found on the internet here. https://www.zhhbqg.com/89642_896428266/110507774. HTML Genius remembered the website address in 1 second. www.zhhbqg.com Bikugo mobile reading website. zhhbqg.com. Chapter 416. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated more quickly. Millions of novels can be read for free. There are all kinds of novels that can't be found on the internet. After coming out of the medical center, Gu Jiao got in Xiao Sanzi's carriage and went to Lu Yixing's house. Lu Yixing's house was as poor as usual, but Lu Yixing wasn't sitting in the yard as usual. Only the mute boy named Anu and another old nanny were working in the front yard. One was weaving baskets, and the other was scrubbing. The two of them recognized Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao said, I'm looking for Lu Yixing. Is he here? The old nanny was hard of hearing and couldn't hear. Anu pointed to a room inside. Thank you. Gu Jiao thanked her and stepped into the central room. Then she turned and walked into the other room that Anu pointed to. This was a study room, which was also Lu Yixing's bedroom. It was about the same size as the west room in Xiaolulang and Little Jingkong. The furnishings were very old and simple. The paint on the cabinet was peeling off, and the table was lame and made of stone. There were also some broken furniture. She didn't know if it was picked up from outside or smashed by someone who broke into the room. In short, it was full of holes and cracks. Lu Yixing was wearing a coarse hemp garment. He sat behind the desk and read a book attentively. Gu Jiao recognized that this was the book she gave him last time. He really began to read. Gu Jiao didn't disturb him. She crossed her arms and leaned against the door. Lu Yixing was immersed in the sea of books and didn't notice Gu Jiao's arrival for a moment. It was only when the old nanny outside accidentally knocked over a stool that he raised his head in shock and heard a loud crash. Then he saw Gu Jiao leaning against the door and looking at him calmly. Generally speaking, it was very awkward to see someone being caught red-handed, and one would subconsciously look away. Gu Jiao didn't. She raised her eyebrows and asked, Did I disturb you? No, it wasn't you. Lu Yixing hid the surprise in his eyes and opened the window beside him to take a look outside. After making sure that the old lady was fine, he felt relieved. Why are you here? He closed the book and cautiously looked around his room. It was unknown if he was checking to see if there was any dirt or mess in his room that could not be seen. Fortunately, he didn't. Nanny and Anu had just cleaned up this morning. He hesitated for a moment. He wanted to invite the other party in, but felt that it was inappropriate, so he stood up and said, "Let's go to the central room." Gu Jiao nodded. The guest had to follow the host's wishes, so it didn't matter where they sat. Although there were 2 servants in Lu Yixing's house, one of them was old and hard of hearing, while the other could not speak. Lu Yixing would personally entertain the guests. Of course, there had never been any other guests in his house, and Gu Jiao was the only one. Yuan Tang could not be counted as a guest. "Sit." Lu Yixing pointed to the chair and said. Gu Jiao sat down. A white shadow rushed over and jumped onto Gu Jiao's legs. Its fat body was curled up into a furry ball, and it obediently let Gu Jiao stroke it. Gu Jiao poked its soft belly with her fingertips and said amusedly, "You still remember me?" This white cat was the one that almost scared Xiao Lulang and bumped into Princess Ning. Yuan Tang caught it in time. Seeing that Gu Jiao liked it, and the white cat also liked Gu Jiao, Yuan Tang lied that it was an ownerless cat and asked Gu Jiao to take it home. However, Gu Jiao did not take it away. Of course, Gu Jiao had guessed that it was Yuan Tang's cat after the incident, and she clearly exposed it in front of Yuan Tang. She thought that Yuan Tang would take her cat back. "You're still here." Gu Jiao curved her lips and stroked the cat comfortably. Lu Yixing saw that she was playing happily with the white cat and could not help asking, "Since you like it so much, why don't you take it back?" Her husband was afraid of cats. This man was not afraid of anything, not even death, but he was afraid of cats. Gu Jiao did not answer his question, but said, "No, you raised it well." She paused and turned to look at him. "Don't you like cats?" Lu Yixing lowered his eyes and said, "No, I like it very much. It can catch mice." After it came, there were no mice in the house. Gu Jiao poked its belly. "Are you so capable?" The white cat meowed proudly. "Does it have a name?" Gu Jiao suddenly asked. Lu Yixing was asked. It was just raising a cat. Did it need a name? Gu Jiao actually had no experience in raising pets, but little Jing Kong had to name the 7 chickens one by one, so she subconsciously thought that this white cat should have a name too. Lu Yixing looked a little embarrassed. She said that she liked raising cats, but she did not even give a name to the cat. Lu Yixing's eyes flashed, and he said, I thought of a few names, but I don't know which one is good." Gu Jiao looked at him. "Let's hear it." Lu Yixing, who knew nothing about naming, was speechless. Lu Yixing had an idea, and he said, "Why don't you give it a name? After all, it's your cat, and it's just temporarily in my care." "Okay." Gu Jiao nodded, thought for a moment and said, "Let's call it Little Sure." There were 9 mythical animals in the house, and this one was the 10th. "Okay, let's call it Little Sure." Lu Yixing had no objection at all. "Are you here to see Little Sure today?" he asked, and stood up to pour water for Gu Jiao. "I'm here to see you too," Gu Jiao said. Lu Yixing's hand shook, and a drop of water spilled on the table. He took a handkerchief and wiped it without leaving a trace, and put the tea in Gu Jiao's hand. "You really have nothing better to do." Gu Jiao took down the small basket and took out a few thick books from it. "Here." Last time, she gave Lu Yixing the 4 books. This time she gave him the 5 classics and 2 arithmetic books. They were all annotated, and were very suitable for self-taught scholars. Lu Yixing wanted to say something, but hesitated. Gu Jiao could almost imagine what he was going to say. "I know you can't afford these books, but I'm not giving them to you for free. These are Little Sure's food expenses. Little Sure is so fat, and it's obvious that he can eat a lot." The white cat meowed bitterly. Lu Yixing sighed. "You'll regret it if you lose the bet." He would never be conferred the title of Marquis or Minister in this lifetime. Lu Yixing hesitated for a moment, but in the end he accepted the books. However, he secretly remembered the value of these books, and he would return them to her one day. Lu Yixing stroked the covers of the books and said, "I'm borrowing these books from you. I'll return them to you when I earn some money." "It's up to you." Gu Jiao said nonchalantly. It was just a few books and she didn't lack money. However, she didn't refuse him on the spot because she wanted to take care of his incomparably strong self-esteem. At this time, Gu Jiao didn't know that one day, many years later, Lu Yixing really did return the money for these books, but he didn't use money. One book, one city. A total of 11 cities, and he returned her half of the country. If there's anything you don't understand, you can ask me, Gu Jiao said confidently when she saw Lu Yixing flipping through the 2 arithmetic books. Okay. Lu Yixing humbly asked for advice, and took out a pile of 8-part essay drafts from his room. Gu Jiao said without changing her expression. Or, you don't have to ask me. Lu Yixing. Gu Jiao stroked the cat for a while, and in the end, she wanted to sniff the cat but she restrained herself. Actually, I came here today for another matter. She was so busy stroking the cat that she almost forgot about the important matter. What's the matter? Lu Yixing asked. It's about Yuan Tang, Gu Jiao said. As soon as she finished speaking, Yuan Tang's voice sounded from the other room. What does it have to do with this prince? Gu Jiao frowned strangely. Lu Yixing explained. He came here just now, and he's sleeping in the woodshed. Gu Jiao looked at Yuan Tang with a puzzled expression. You don't want to sleep in the imperial palace, but instead sleep in the woodshed. What's wrong with you? Yuan Tang covered his face with a folding fan and yawned. He strode over and sat down across from Gu Jiao. As long as I'm close to cousin, what's wrong with sleeping in the woodshed? Lu Yixing said to Gu Jiao. I thought he wouldn't wake up, so I didn't tell you. He didn't expect Gu Jiao to suddenly mention Yuan Tang. If he had known, he would have reminded her. After all, it was quite embarrassing to be caught talking about someone behind their back. Lu Yixing thought too much. Gu Jiao wasn't embarrassed at all. Gu Jiao made a sound and said to Yuan Tang, You came at the right time. Yuan Tang smiled. What's wrong? Do you miss this prince? Lu Yixing's eyes turned cold. Yuan Tang hurriedly said to him, Don't be angry, it's just a joke. I only have cousin in my heart, there's no room for anyone else. Lu Yixing was obviously used to his shamelessness and glib tongue. He coldly turned around and ignored him. Yuan Tang smiled and said, Dr. Gu, what did you want to say to me just now? Gu Jiao didn't say anything. She directly reached out and grabbed Yuan Tang's chin. She turned his face to the left, and sure enough, she saw the scratches and swelling under his hair. However, it was probably because he had applied medicine, so it wasn't as obvious as what Rui Wang had said. However, she could still see the marks. Yuan Tang didn't resist. He playfully looked at Lu Yixing and said, Cousin, she was the one who took liberties with me. I didn't take the initiative to seduce her. Shut your mouth. Lu Yixing said unhappily. Gu Jiao asked, How did you get the wounds on your face? Lu Yixing raised his eyebrows and said, You care about me that much? Lu Yixing coldly said, Don't talk nonsense. Yuan Tang helplessly shrugged. He used his folding fan to point at the big white cat on Gu Jiao's lap and said, How else could it be? It scratched me. Gu Jiao looked at the white cat on her lap and asked, You scratched me? The white cat closed its eyes and pretended to be dead. Lu Yixing said, It scratched me. I saw it. Gu Jiao asked, When did it scratch you? Lu Yixing said, Last night he climbed over the wall to enter the house. The white cat thought it was a thief, so it scratched him with its claws. She didn't expect this little thing to be so fierce. Yuan Tang looked at the white cat with hidden bitterness and said, It's only been a few days, and you've already forgotten who was the one who raised you. Lu Yixing wouldn't lie to her. According to Gu Jiao's observation, the marks on Yuan Tang's face didn't look like finger marks. They looked more like scratches and scratches caused by sharp claws. Of course, she couldn't rule out another possibility. The slap didn't leave too big of a mark, and the swelling immediately went down with ice. Yuan Tang looked at Gu Jiao, who was deep in thought, and said, Hey, why are you looking at me like that? Are all of you people from Zhao so strange today? First, Consort Rui Wang saw me and screamed in shock because of my injured face. Then you held my face and touched me. Lu Yixing was annoyed to death and said, Who touched you? If you continue to talk without thinking, don't come again. Yuan Tang immediately cowered and said, Okay. I won't say it, I won't say it. It wasn't Yuan Tang. The direction of this matter was a bit strange. Although it had nothing to do with her who Lin Lang met privately with, she had exposed the other party's secret. If the other party found out, it was very likely that it would be disadvantageous to her and consort Rui Wang. Therefore, it was better to find that person as soon as possible. Gu Jiao looked at Yuan Tang without blinking and asked, Do you know the crown princess? Yuan Tang said, Which country's crown princess are you talking about? Gu Jiao said, The crown princess of Zhao country. Yuan Tang raised his eyebrows meaningfully and said, Oh, that Zhao Du's young marquis's fiancée. I know her. What about it? She's his ex-fiancée. They don't have anything to do with each other anymore. Gu Jiao corrected Yuan Tang and asked, Did you go to see her yesterday? Because he was asked, Yuan Tang didn't pay attention to why she corrected him. Yuan Tang spread his hands and said, Why would I go see her? I'm not familiar with her. Wait, why do you ask? Are you suspecting that I have some kind of unclear relationship with her? This Yuan Tang wasn't stupid. Yuan Tang laughed. After laughing, he raised his finger and said solemnly, Cousin is here, so I might as well be frank. I did assassinate your Zhao country's emperor, but I have absolutely no relationship with your Zhao country's crown princess. I swear to God, if I'm lying, I won't be able to bring cousin back to Qin country for the rest of my life. What kind of oath was this? Lu Yixing said indifferently. If you're lying, I won't let you be the Qin country's crown prince. Yuan Tang looked hurt. That's too vicious. Are you still my cousin? Yuan Tang didn't look like he was lying. However, in terms of motive, martial arts, criminal record, and other aspects, Yuan Tang was the most suspicious. Just as Gu Jiao was about to ask him for his alibi from yesterday morning, a strange noise came from outside the room. Gu Jiao's ears twitched. She picked up the teacup in her hand and threw it outside the door. With a clang, an arrow was knocked to the ground by the teacup. The mute slave in the yard stood up, grabbed the old mama who didn't hear anything, and carried her into the room. The moment the two entered the room, Yuan Tang got up and closed the door to the central room. He also bolted the door. Almost at the same time, the sound of an entire row of arrows hitting the door rang out. One of the arrows even broke through the door halfway, and almost pierced Yuan Tang's stomach. Yuan Tang looked at the arrow that almost cut his stomach open, and the corner of his mouth twitched. No way, cousin. What have you been doing recently? In the past, those people from Zhao country only came to your house to mess around. Now they want to kill you? As soon as Yuan Tang finished speaking, another arrow flew through the air. This time it came from the back door. The back door couldn't be closed because there was no back door. However, the person this arrow was aimed at wasn't Lu Yixing. For a moment, Gu Jiao thought that the arrow was aimed at her. Until the arrow accurately pierced Yuan Tang's folding fan. If the fan hadn't blocked it fast enough, he would have been cut open. Yuan Tang was stunned. What's going on? Is it aimed at me? Several more arrows came from behind, all aimed at Yuan Tang. Gu Jiao looked deeply in the direction of the back door. Her eyes moved. Okay, you're eliminated as a suspect. Yuan Tang dodged the arrows and ran around the room. What do you mean? Obviously, someone wanted Yuan Tang to be the scapegoat, so that Yuan Tang wouldn't be able to testify. Digression, Jiao Jiao is so smart. Does she have monthly votes? The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found on the internet are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964226/110479527. HTML Genius memorized the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikugo mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 417. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more frequently. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found on the internet are all available here. Yuan Tang was being chased all over the place. How could he care about washing off suspicion? In fact, he usually brought his subordinates with him when he went out. It was only when he came to Lu Yixing's place that he was always alone. This was because Lu Yixing didn't like to be disturbed. He didn't even want to see him, let alone his subordinates. Who would have thought that after so many times without incident, he would suffer a setback today? The assassins came in a menacing manner, and each one of them was powerful. He almost couldn't handle them. At first, the assassins only wanted to kill him, but after missing, they no longer cared about whether there were other people in the room. Several arrows almost hit Gu Jiao and Lu Yixing. In order not to implicate the two of them, Yuan Tang gritted his teeth. "I'm leaving first." As Yuan Tang left, the surrounding assassins gradually disappeared. It seemed that they were chasing after Yuan Tang. Lu Yixing's expression became very ugly. Gu Jiao didn't know if he was recalling something, or if he was simply worried about Yuan Tang's situation. Yuan Tang's situation was indeed not good. This time, the other party seemed to be determined to kill him at all costs. No matter where Yuan Tang fled, he could feel that group of people chasing after him. His martial arts were not on par with the Dragon Shadow Guards, but he was at least one of the top 10 experts in the state of Chun. He was confident that he wouldn't lose to this group of assassins in a one-on-one fight. However, there was a saying that went, outnumbered. The direction back to the palace was completely blocked. It was obvious that the assassins didn't want him to return to the palace to call for reinforcements. How despicable. Don't let this prince find out who did it, or else this prince will skin you alive. Yuan Tang had no choice but to escape in another direction. He didn't know how long he was chased until night fell, until he left the lights of the homes far behind him, until his internal energy was exhausted and he couldn't escape anymore. He was cornered in an empty street corner. As the Mid-Autumn Festival approached, the full moon hung high in the sky. The cold moonlight shone on Yuan Tang's sweaty cheeks, and his eyes emitted a sharp and cold light. "Who are you? Who sent you to kill this prince?" he asked coldly. However, no one answered. The dozen or so black-clothed assassins only clenched their longswords and charged at him without a word. Yuan Tang's folding fan turned and activated a mechanism. Countless blades appeared and blocked the swords that were coming at his head. At this moment, a sword attack came from the side of his body. Yuan Tang's left fingertips caught the sword just in time. However, everything was not over yet. A wave of terrifying attacks came from behind him. Yuan Tang's brows twitched. "I can't hide anymore." In the blink of an eye, there was a loud bang and the black-clothed assassin that attacked him from behind let out a pitiful cry. Everyone was shocked by this sudden change. People were always filled with curiosity and fear towards the unknown. Because they didn't know how powerful it was, they didn't dare risk their lives. The other assassins froze for a moment. Using this time, Gu Jiao threw out a few more black flame beads, forcing back the other assassins that wanted to kill Yuan Tang. Yuan Tang came back to his senses and used his internal energy to push back the 4 assassins around him. After pushing them back, he collapsed. Gu Jiao quickly moved forward and held his arm. Yuan Tang knew that he couldn't show any weakness at this critical moment, otherwise they would chase after him. Yuan Tang stabilized his mind and did his best to not collapse. He stared at the murderous assassins and whispered to Gu Jiao, "Thank you. I owe you my life today." Gu Jiao glanced at him indifferently. "Is your life valuable?" Yuan Tang said, "I'm the future crown prince of the Qin kingdom. Do you think it's valuable?" Gu Jiao, "Oh, what did you use just now? Why was it so powerful?" "A hidden weapon." Yuan Tang, "I know it's a hidden weapon, but can you tell me what kind of hidden weapon it is?" "Forget it. Now is not the time to talk about this. The most important thing is to quickly take care of this group of assassins." Just now, 3 of them had been injured by Gu Jiao's explosion, but there were still 11 of them left. The worst thing was that Yuan Tang had already used up all his energy on the way here. He could barely stand, but he had no chance of winning if they really fought. Yuan Tang said helplessly, "We can only rely on you, Dr. Gu." "Stand back," Gu Jiao said. Yuan Tang took a few steps back and stood by the wall. There were 11 of them. Yuan Tang did not expect Gu Jiao to take care of them alone. She only needed to stall for time. Once he caught his breath and recovered some energy, he would be able to rejoin the battle. What Yuan Tang did not expect was that before he could catch his breath, half of the assassins were already down. No way. Is this girl really so good at fighting? Gu Jiao used a stick. There was no blood. She only knocked the person unconscious. She used the move that the old Marquis had taught her before she left. She did not expect it to be so useful. The old man was pretty good. She was good too. Wow, if this goes on, I won't even have to fight, right? Yuan Tang crossed his arms. He felt that this girl could take care of everyone on her own. The next second, Yuan Tang realized that he had been happy too early. Stop, or I'll kill him. With a harsh shout, a masked man in black walked out with a sword pressed against Lu Yixing's neck. Yuan Tang's eyes darkened. Cousin. Gu Jiao threw away one of the assassins in black. She looked indifferently at Lu Yixing and the masked man in black. A dangerous light flashed through her eyes. Let him go, Gu Jiao said. Her tone was unquestionable. The man in black was shocked by the fact that a little girl could emit such a powerful aura. But it was only for a moment. He said coldly, "You dare to hurt so many of my brothers. You've got guts. Hand that brat over. Leave one of your hands behind, and we'll let this matter rest." Lu Yixing said expressionlessly, "If you were the ones being captured today, I wouldn't have done anything." Stinking brat. Shut up. The masked man's sword suddenly moved an inch closer to Lu Yixing's neck. The blade was pressed against his white skin. Gu Jiao's eyes were cold as she said, "If you dare to harm a single hair on his head, I'll have you pay with your life." Lu Yixing and Yuan Tang were both stunned. The two of them didn't expect Gu Jiao to say something like this. Lu Yixing's eyes flashed with a complicated look. He looked at Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao also looked at him. Lu Yixing closed his eyes without hesitation. At the same time, Gu Jiao shook her arm and a dagger slipped into her sleeve. No one saw how Gu Jiao moved. By the time they reacted, she had already thrown the dagger. The masked man saw that the dagger was about to hit his forehead. He hurriedly waved his sword to block it. The dagger was blocked, but Lu Yixing took the opportunity to run away. Damn it. He gritted his teeth. Yuan Tang couldn't come back to his senses. What just happened? Did that girl suddenly attack, or did she give his cousin some kind of signal? Otherwise, why would his cousin close his eyes? Speaking of which, wasn't his cousin afraid that the girl would make a mistake? Yuan Tang was jealous. Even his cousin didn't trust him that much. Lu Yixing quickly walked towards the two of them. The masked man was about to swing his sword at Lu Yixing's back, but Gu Jiao's black flame pearl blew him back several steps. He obviously knew how powerful this thing was. Several of his brothers had been injured by it. Gu Jiao also quickly walked over to help Lu Yixing. Are you okay? Gu Jiao asked. I'm not. Lu Yixing didn't finish his words. He suddenly reached out and pulled Gu Jiao into his embrace. His other hand blocked the back of Gu Jiao's head. A sword slashed down and Lu Yixing's little finger flew out. Cousin! Yuan Tang cried out involuntarily. Hot blood splashed onto Gu Jiao's neck. She grabbed Lu Yixing's right hand and saw the bloody wound on his little finger. Her eyes instantly turned cold. At this moment, everyone felt that Gu Jiao's aura had changed. It was as if the fight just now was just a casual fight. She wasn't really angry. But now every strand of her hair seemed to be on the verge of exploding. Gu Jiao wasn't sure what the dream of returning to the manor meant. She only knew that it was getting harder and harder for her to separate herself from the dream. Lu Yixing was the person who would bury her. He was the person she would protect for the rest of her life. It didn't matter if this strong emotion came from the person in front of her, or the person in her dream. She only knew that there was a voice in her head that said, "No one is allowed to hurt him." Gu Jiao tore off a piece of her dress and wrapped it around Lu Yixing's wound. Then she pulled out the dagger at her waist. Everyone was shocked by her sudden outburst of aura and murderous aura, to the point that they didn't even move as they watched her bandage someone's wound. When Gu Jiao made her move, everyone finally reacted. Unfortunately, it was too late. Gu Jiao took a few steps forward. She threw the dagger into the air and grabbed it. The moment she landed, her dagger fiercely stabbed into the heart of the assassin who had attacked Lu Yixing. Another stream of blood spurted out, splashing onto her face. She wiped it away and her eyes became terrifying. Everyone was stunned by this scene. She had fought for so long and had only used a stick to knock them unconscious. They thought that she didn't have a weapon or that she didn't know how to use a weapon. They even thought that she was timid, kind and indecisive. After all, she was just a young girl in her teens. However, it was this timid, kind-hearted, and indecisive little girl who had stabbed an assassin in the heart with her dagger. It seemed like an instant, but it also seemed like a long time had passed. When the masked assassin recovered from his shock, all of his brothers had fallen. The air was filled with the thick smell of blood. His martial arts weren't weak. If he really fought to the death with Gu Jiao, even if he couldn't win, escaping wouldn't be a problem. But he had been scared silly by Gu Jiao's methods. Was this really a young girl? He's a god of death, isn't he? Gu Jiao's face was covered in blood, but it wasn't her own. Her dagger was also dripping with blood. The ruthlessness in her body was stirred up by the blood. She grabbed the dagger and walked towards the masked man step by step like an Asura who had returned from purgatory. The masked man's legs turned to jelly, and he fell to the ground on his butt. Don't come over. Don't come over. He supported himself with one hand on the ground and stepped back. He pointed his sword at Gu Jiao with the other. But his words couldn't even be considered a roar. At most, it was a hollow roar. Lu Yixing and Yuan Tang naturally noticed that something was wrong with Gu Jiao. They called her several times, but she didn't seem to hear them. Dr. Gu. Lu Yixing called her again. Gu Jiao still didn't respond. Yuan Tang walked over and stood in front of Gu Jiao. Enough. That's enough. Gu Jiao pushed Yuan Tang away with a backhand. Yuan Tang staggered a few steps and bumped into the corner of the wall. He almost broke his ribs. What's going on? Is this girl possessed? Lu Yixing stood behind Gu Jiao and looked at Gu Jiao's back. Dr. Gu. Gu Jiao raised the dagger and swung it down. Lu Yixing closed his eyes in pain. Gu Jiao took out a match and found the severed finger on the dirty ground. Lu Yixing leaned against the wall and sat down. She knelt in front of Lu Yixing and opened the small medicine box. She took out the disinfectant and surgical instruments, washed her hands and put on gloves. Gu Jiao cleaned Lu Yixing's wound, injected anesthetics, and stitched up the severed finger. During the stitching process, she didn't say a word. Lu Yixing didn't ask either. Yuan Tang, on the other hand, looked at her small medicine box and the things she took out from it with a very strange gaze. Hey, what are these? Will it really heal if you reconnect it like this? What did you just do to my cousin? Why doesn't it hurt? Hey, say something. You're very scary, okay? Yuan Tang waved his finger in front of Gu Jiao's eyes. Gu Jiao didn't respond. She didn't deliberately ignore him, but she really didn't seem to see him. Yuan Tang looked at Lu Yixing strangely. Cousin, she. Lu Yixing gave him a look that told him to shut up. Yuan Tang shut his mouth resentfully, but he couldn't help looking at Gu Jiao. Was this girl really bewitched? Why couldn't she hear or see him? Gu Jiao's surgery was very meticulous. After the last stitch, she cut off the thread and wrapped it with gauze. The next second, she blacked out and fainted. Gu Jiao actually lost consciousness a long time ago. She completed the surgery for Lu Yixing based on her obsession. After the surgery, she didn't need to hold on anymore. She couldn't hold on anymore. Seeing Gu Jiao fall to the dirty ground, Lu Yixing almost instinctively reached out and supported Gu Jiao's swaying little body with his arm. He gently pulled back his arm and Gu Jiao fell into his arms. The girl's fragrance mixed with the strong smell of blood penetrated the tip of his nose. He had never been so close to anyone. His body stiffened. However, before he could get used to the existence of the young girl in his arms, a robust figure descended from the sky and snatched Gu Jiao from his arms. Who is it? Yuan Tang suddenly blocked in front of Lu Yixing. He reached out to snatch Gu Jiao back, but he couldn't even touch the other party's clothes. Who are you? Lu Yixing supported himself against the wall and coldly stood up. Just when the two of them thought that the other party was another assassin who came to assassinate them, the other party suddenly hit the southeast roof with his palm. Miserable screams came from the roof, followed by more than 10 figures falling down. Yuan Tang's complexion changed. When did so many assassins appear in the dark? If it wasn't for this person, he feared that the three of them would have met with misfortune. Who was this masked man in the end? Was he an enemy or a friend? If he was an enemy, why did he help them? If he was a friend, why did he kidnap Gu Jiao? Digression Long E, Lulu. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more wonderful content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found on the internet are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964286/110453121. HTML Genius will remember this site's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikuj mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 418. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more wonderful content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all here. When Gu Jiao woke up, she found herself lying in a strange yet familiar room. It was strange because this was definitely not her West room. Nor was it the small courtyard of the medical hall. It was familiar because she seemed to have been here before. Awake. A woman's voice came from the direction of the window. Gu Jiao turned her head and saw Princess Xinyang in plain clothes sitting in front of the window practicing calligraphy. Gu Jiao remembered. This was Princess Xinyang's room. So she was now in that house on Vermilion Bird Street? But why was she here? She didn't have the slightest impression. Princess Xinyang finished practicing her calligraphy and put it aside with satisfaction. She took another one and continued to practice. Long Yi picked you up and put you on my bed. Her tone was full of disgust. She used the word picked up. It seemed Long Yi acted on his own initiative and was not sent by Princess Xinyang. Gu Jiao didn't ask how Long Yi found her. Asking was useless. She said, "Then you cannot let him put you." Humph. Princess Xinyang coldly snorted. "I actually want to." Gu Jiao lowered her head and looked at her clothes. She had already changed her clothes, so she didn't know whose they were. Princess Xinyang indifferently said, "Yujin's clothes, do you think I would give you my clothes to wear?" Gu Jiao. How can she know what I'm thinking? Princess Xinyang opened her mouth again. "Are you a death warrior of Yin country?" N. Gu Jiao was dumbfounded. Princess Xinyang indifferently said, "Your whole body is covered in blood, but not a single drop is yours. Don't tell me you took a bath with blood." Gu Jiao strangely asked, "What does this have to do with death warriors of Yin country?" "It seems you really don't remember at all." Princess Xinyang finally looked at Gu Jiao, but it was only a glance, and then she looked away. "When you came, you looked exactly like a suicide soldier who had lost control. By the way, only the Yin Kingdom has men of sacrifice. Long Yi is also from the Yin Kingdom." Gu Jiao said with absolute certainty, "I'm not a death warrior." Princess Xinyang paused and nodded. "That's true. Even the men of sacrifice don't have as much killing intent as you do." Gu Jiao. "Can't you greet me before insulting me? I thought you were going to say it." "That's right, you are Ding and Marquis Fu's precious daughter." Gu Jiao did not know how long she had been unconscious or what time it was. She only knew that she was very hungry. Not long after, her stomach began to growl. After Princess Xinyang finished writing the last word, she put down the brush. She still didn't look at Gu Jiao. Instead, she looked at her newly written notebook. "Are you eating alone or with me? What are we eating together? Dinner?" What time is it now? Princess Xinyang still hasn't eaten. Gu Jiao thought for a bit and said, if it's convenient, I want to eat by myself. Princess Xinyang put away the notebook and got up to leave. Not long after, a maidservant came in carrying a tray. On the tray were 3 dishes, 1 soup, and a small plate of fruit. There weren't many dishes, but the quality of the dishes was very rich. The maidservant first placed the tray on the table. Then she took a clean small table that was specially placed on the Kong bed, and placed it on the bed where Gu Jiao was. Gu Jiao originally intended to say that she could get out of bed and eat by herself. But since she had already gone to this extent, Gu Jiao did not want to disappoint her good intentions. This servant will wait outside. If Miss has any orders, call this servant at any time. The maidservant said and respectfully retreated. Gu Jiao prepared to eat her dinner. Who would have thought that in the next second, Long Yi would enter the room? Gu Jiao's hand trembled. The chopsticks that she had just picked up fell out of shock. It couldn't be that he came to find her again. Gu Jiao trembled with fear and stared for a long time, but seeing that Long Yi didn't take out his charcoal pencil, she secretly sighed in relief. It didn't seem like it. Then what did he come to find her for? Gu Jiao looked at Long Yi. Long Yi's hands were behind his back. His eyes were fixedly staring at the food in front of Gu Jiao, as if he was very much looking forward to it. Gu Jiao's eyes spun. Do you also want to eat? Long Yi didn't move. Guess wrong? Gu Jiao thought for a bit. Are you reminding me to eat quickly? Long Yi's aura still didn't change. Guess wrong again. Shadow Guard Long didn't know how to speak. She had to guess everything. Gu Jiao couldn't guess what Long Yi wanted to do this time. She mused for a long time, then said strangely, you shouldn't be thinking of feeding me, right? Long Yi's eyes were ready to move. Gu Jiao looked at the hands behind his back. She didn't think too much. Wasn't it just being fed? Seeing that he had saved her, she would allow it. Okay. Gu Jiao put down her chopsticks. You feed me. She had never been fed by a shadow guard Long before. It could be considered a unique experience in 2 lifetimes. Long Yi happily took out the cutlery hidden behind his back. Gu Jiao stared and almost fell. People used a spoon to feed. Why did you use a spatula? Are you serious? Next door, Princess Xinyang was eating. Gu Jiao walked in without a change in her expression. I thought about it. Eating alone isn't very polite. It's better if I eat with the princess. Princess Xinyang didn't say yes or no, so Gu Jiao took it as a tacit agreement. She sat down across from Princess Xinyang. There was originally another set of cutlery on the table, but Gu Jiao didn't sit on the chair corresponding to that set of cutlery. Instead, she chose to sit beside it. After she sat down, she didn't take the cutlery. Eugène's eyes flashed. You also sit down and eat. Princess Xinyang said to Eugène. Yes. Eugène gave Gu Jiao another set of cutlery, then sat down on the chair corresponding to the original set of cutlery. She looked at Gu Jiao suspiciously. She wasn't sure if Gu Jiao had coincidentally seen through her plan to accompany Princess Xinyang to eat. Gu Jiao buried her head in her food, as if she didn't care about anything other than eating. Eugène's expression relaxed, and she also began to eat slowly. It wasn't that Gu Jiao didn't care about other things. She just didn't show it on her face. As she ate, she secretly observed Princess Xinyang. Princess Xinyang's movements were very gentle, and there was a sense of nobility and elegance that came from her bones. Gu Jiao almost couldn't help but think of Xiao Lulang. Xiao Lulang was the same. Even when he was in the countryside and wore patched clothes, it was still difficult to hide the elegance between his brows and his movements. Gu Jiao hadn't seen Xiao Lulang before, so she didn't feel like Xiao Lulang was a completely different person like the old chancellor. In fact, no matter how much a person's temperament changed, their style of writing changed, and their habits suddenly changed, some small movements and expressions wouldn't change. Deliberate changes were all things that one could realize, but some things that one couldn't realize naturally couldn't be changed. Xiao Lulang himself didn't know that when he ate something good, his eyes would quickly blink twice, and when he ate something bad, his left eyebrow would twitch. Princess Xinyang was the same. However, there didn't seem to be anything she liked on the table. The 3 of them quietly finished their meal, and Princess Xinyang went next door. Eugene considerately asked Gu Jiao. Dr. Gu, are you full? There are still snacks in the kitchen. No need, I'm full. Gu Jiao didn't have a big appetite. Today, because she had used up too much energy, she only ate 2 bowls of rice. Normally, 1 bowl was enough. Eugene smiled and politely asked, Dr. Gu, do you like tonight's dishes? Gu Jiao said, I'm not picky. In other words, she didn't like it very much. It wasn't as good as the red braised pork that Princess Xinyang had prepared for her. Unfortunately, Longyi held a spatula, so she was scared and ran away. Eugene didn't expect Gu Jiao to be so straightforward. Normally, people would politely say that they liked it, that it tasted good, and thank you for your hospitality. Gu Jiao said again. I see that Princess Xinyang doesn't like it very much either. There's no meat on the table. Eugene was very surprised. You can tell? Princess Xinyang didn't show her preferences on her face. She seemed to be very indifferent to everything. Even the servants who had served her for a few years couldn't tell whether she liked something or not. Eugene paused, then said, The princess is a vegetarian. Here comes another vegetarian. Old concubine Jing was also a vegetarian, but that woman was probably faking it. Why was Princess Xinyang a vegetarian? Gu Jiao thought for a bit, then asked, Does she also have meat allergy? Eugene was stunned. What kind of question was that? Was there anyone in this world who had meat allergy? Eugene couldn't keep up with Gu Jiao's unconstrained thoughts, but she didn't change the topic. She hesitated for a bit, then said, The princess isn't always a vegetarian. In the beginning, she also ate meat, but in recent years she stopped eating. She said that she wanted to accumulate good karma for Little Master, so that Little Master could throw himself into a good family in his next life. Gu Jiao didn't believe in this, but combined with her own matters, Gu Jiao felt that the end of science might really be theology. People might not be able to reincarnate, but they might be able to step into another parallel spacetime. When the brainwaves travel through spacetime, it would be affected by the magnetic field and lose its past memories. Therefore, there was a saying that drinking Mengpo's soup would cause one to forget the past. Of course, this was only Gu Jiao's own wild guess, without enough scientific evidence to support it. Today, Longyi persisted in using a spatula to feed Gu Jiao, the little patient, and didn't let Gu Jiao stop writing. Late at night, Gu Jiao intended to return. Before leaving, she went to thank Princess Xinyang. Princess Xinyang was practicing calligraphy again. Gu Jiao didn't know why, but an image suddenly appeared in her mind. The young princess of Xinyang was practicing her calligraphy under the sun's rays, and little Xiao Lulang was sitting across from her. Princess Xinyang said, You're not allowed to eat until you've practiced 1,000 characters. Little Xiao Lulang picked up the brush with hidden bitterness, resigned to his fate, and began to practice calligraphy. Why did she have such thoughts? Wasn't it because Xiao Lulang always forced her to practice writing? She seriously suspected that he had been tormented by Princess Xinyang when he was young, and now he was tormenting others as he grew up. Gu Jiao gathered her thoughts and said to Princess Xinyang, Thank you, Princess, for today. Although Long Yi had picked her up and brought her back, but it was not easy for her to not throw him out. Princess Xinyang said indifferently, No need to thank me. Your life is very valuable. After all, you still have to treat my illness. Gu Jiao, what you said makes so much sense that I can't refute it. Goodbye. Gu Jiao turned around and walked out. Princess Xinyang was practicing her calligraphy when she suddenly opened her mouth and called, Girl. And Gu Jiao stopped and looked at her in confusion. Princess, is there something else? Princess Xinyang asked. How can a person like you become a doctor? It wasn't a questioning tone, nor was it a disdainful tone. It was pure curiosity. Gu Jiao was dumbfounded. What kind of person am I? Princess Xinyang said. Don't ask me, ask yourself. This was the second time tonight that Princess Xinyang had said strange things to her. She didn't think that Princess Xinyang would come to this conclusion just because she was unconscious and covered in blood. Could it be that she had done something when she was unconscious? And then her secret was discovered by Princess Xinyang? Shadow bloodthirsty. There had always been such a saying in the organization. so generally no one dared to provoke her. But only her godfather knew that she wasn't bloodthirsty in the true sense. She just couldn't control herself. Blood made her excited. In her previous life, she had always trained herself through various operations. She had already controlled herself very well. Tonight's situation where she completely lost control was very rare. Who would have thought that Princess Xinyang would encounter her? To be exact, after being picked up by Long Yi, Princess Xinyang encountered her out-of-control side. However, it was also fortunate that she was picked up by Long Yi. If she had stayed by the side of Lu Yixing and Yuan Tang, perhaps she would have already. Gu Jiao turned her head and looked at Princess Xinyang. "You're not afraid of me?" Princess Xinyang looked at Gu Jiao strangely. "Why should I be afraid of you?" "Because I am a monster. How did I give birth to a monster like you?" "Go away. Stay away from your sister." The woman held the baby in her bosom and fiercely pushed her to the ground. Her immature little face had just been slapped by the woman. Her cheeks were swollen like a steamed bun, but she didn't cry. Even when her mother pulled her to the ground and hurt her little butt, she didn't cry. She picked up the box that had fallen to the ground, stood on her tiptoes and stuffed it into the baby's bosom. A gift for my sister." The woman slapped the box away and looked at her with disgust. "Who wants your gift? Go away." The woman almost trembled as she dialed a phone number. She shouted herself hoarse, surnamed Gu. "Take your daughter away. Jiao Jiao, Daddy will take you back." The tall and handsome man looked at the little girl in front of him and said with an awkward smile. In the dead of winter, she stood barefoot on the cold floor, holding the gift that her sister didn't want. She was very pretty, but a little dirty. She asked the man, "Do you live in Daddy's house?" There was a moment of panic on the man's face, but the young girl didn't notice it. The man smiled embarrassedly. Daddy has a little brother at home, and there aren't enough rooms. Daddy will take you to Grandma's house first." "Oh." She lowered her head and touched the doll in her arms. It was a doll that she had sewn with her own hands. It had a bloody mouth, sharp teeth, blind eyes, and bald hair. The man raised his hand, as if he wanted to touch her head. She looked up and obediently waited for the man to touch her head. She knew that her father was lying. Her father's house was very big, and there was only one brother. It was impossible that it couldn't fit. But if her father touched her, she would forgive him. If her father couldn't touch her, she could stand on her tiptoes. She tried very hard to stand on her frozen little toes. "Hurry up and touch her," her head was ready. But the man swallowed his saliva, and his palm didn't actually touch her head. He just rubbed the top of her head symbolically and quickly withdrew his hand. It was as if touching a strand of her hair would cause a plague. The man revealed a loving smile. "Daddy promises you. I'll come and pick you up after the new year." She waited from the age of 3 to 6, and after 3 years, no one came to pick her up. Later, she found out that the omnipotent, brave, and powerful father in her heart was also afraid of her. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found on the internet are all here. https://www.zhhbqg.com/89642_8964226/1104266516. HTML Genius remembered this site's address in a second. www.zhhbqg.com Pen Fun Pavilion Mobile Reading Website. zhhbqg.com. Chapter 419. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. Night fell. After working in the cabinet all night, the first of the 3 tripod lords finally finished their work. The 3 of them came out of the cabinet, and Commandery Prince got into his carriage to return home. Hanlin Academy's carriage was parked outside the cabinet. They planned to take Ning Ziyuan and Xiao Luleng home. Ning Ziyuan was exhausted. He really wanted to take Hanlin Academy's carriage home, but his horse was still parked in Hanlin Academy. If he didn't ride the horse back tonight, he wouldn't be able to come to Hanlin Academy tomorrow morning. It was too far to walk, and it was too expensive to hire a carriage. Ning Ziyuan sighed helplessly. Forget it. I'll go back to Hanlin Academy first. I'll ride my horse back. Xiao Luleng looked at him. Don't ride the horse when you're tired. Ning Ziyuan waved his hand. It's okay. It's not too far. The carriage went in the direction of Hanlin Academy. Right. Ning Ziyuan spoke again. Don't you think Grand Secretary Yuan thinks highly of you? Does he? Xiao Luleng asked. Ning Ziyuan said confidently, of course. Grand Secretary Yuan said 3 sentences to me today, and 5 sentences to Commandery Prince, and added together, he didn't say more than you. Xiao Luleng didn't pay attention to this. Ning Ziyuan continued. Also, I noticed that he kept looking at you. Xiao Luleng gave him a confused look. Did you do your job well today? Ning Ziyuan sighed again. You and Commandery Prince did most of the work. To be honest, I didn't do much. Grand Secretary Yuan called them to the cabinet today mainly to help organize some memorials about the laws of the Zhao Kingdom. The Zhao Kingdom had been founded for 200 years. Some laws were set at the beginning of the country. They were in line with the national conditions at that time, but they weren't suitable now. Almost every emperor of the Zhao Kingdom would reorganize and revise the laws. Naturally, the emperor would not personally revise them one by one. The cabinet would draft them, and then bring them to the emperor for review. However, the cabinet needed to listen to the voices of the people before drafting, and the voices of the people had to be reported one by one through the local officials. What the 3 of them did today was to sort out the contents of these reports into standardized memorials. It was Ning Ziyuan's first time entering the cabinet. Not only was he nervous, but he was also a little unfamiliar. He was not as calm and experienced as Xiao Luleng and Commandery Prince. In fact, this was the first time that Xiao Luleng and Commandery Prince came to the cabinet to help. However, the 2 of them came from extraordinary backgrounds and had seen a lot. They knew how to deal with the cabinet officials, and could handle the situation. Ning Ziyuan winked and said, say, did Grand Secretary Yuan take a fancy to you? He wants you to be his grandson-in-law? Xiao Luleng said indifferently, don't talk nonsense. Ning Ziyuan said, I'm not talking nonsense. Wasn't there a rumor that Grand Secretary Yuan's granddaughter was going to marry Royal Prince? Later on, for some reason, they did not get married, and Jun Wang became engaged to the daughter of Ding Marquis. I observed carefully tonight. The way Grand Secretary Yuan looked at Royal Prince was not right. He must be angry at Royal Prince for abandoning his granddaughter after seducing her. Xiao Luleng had never been interested in the affairs of outsiders. He said indifferently, I'm married. Ning Ziyuan said, I know you're married, but does Grand Secretary Yuan know? Last time, didn't the Minister of Justice come looking for you and want to betroth his daughter to you? Xiao Luleng glanced at him. You've been very idle recently. Gossip everywhere. Xiao Luleng did not take Ning Ziyuan's words to heart. Regardless of whether or not Grand Secretary Yuan really cared about him, it was definitely not to betroth his granddaughter to him. Grand Secretary Yuan and the old Marquis were already secretly discussing marriage. Xiao Luleng returned to Jadewater Alley in the middle of the night. He was surprised to find a person standing at the door. He wore a light-colored gown and looked lonely under the cold moonlight. Xiao Luleng walked closer and recognized that he was Lu Yixing, whom he had met once before. Lu Yixing was the orphan of the Lu family. In the capital, he was like a rat that everyone wanted to beat up. At the same time, he was also Gu Jiao's patient. Little Jing Kong and Prince Yu's son Ming had encountered human traffickers. It was Lu Yixing who courageously sent the 2 children back to the medical center. Prince Yu gave him a large sum of money to thank him, and he accepted it. However, when Xiao Luleng also went to thank him, he was rejected. He said, Dr. Gu treats me. If she doesn't charge less, she doesn't charge me at all. I owe Dr. Gu a favor, so I can't accept your gift. These words left a deep impression on Xiao Lulang of Lu Yixing. What are you doing here? Xiao Lulang walked forward and asked. Lu Yixing had already seen Xiao Lulang when he walked into the alley. It wasn't that he didn't want to avoid him, but in the end, he still chose to stay. He opened his mouth and said, His sleeves weren't long. Xiao Lulang glanced at him and noticed that his hand was wrapped in gauze. There seemed to be faint traces of blood seeping out of the gauze. Xiao Lulang said, It's already so late. If you want to treat your injury, you can go to the Miracle Hall. There's a doctor on night duty there. Lu Yixing wasn't here to treat his injury. However, it was very difficult for him to explain to Xiao Lulang why he was here. He didn't want Xiao Lulang to misunderstand. Just as he was struggling with how to phrase it, another carriage stopped at the other end of the alley. Gu Jiao got off the carriage and walked towards her house. She saw two handsome men standing at the door, facing each other in a strange atmosphere. For a moment she was stunned. This scene was a bit too pleasing to the eye. Xiao Lulang stared at her with a bit of curiosity. He thought that she had already gone to bed at this time. Who would have thought that she had just returned? Moreover, her clothes were clearly not the clothes she wore this morning. Nor were they the clothes she wore at home. The curiosity in Lu Yixing's eyes was no less than Xiao Liulang's. Gu Jiao was unconscious when she was kidnapped, but now she seemed to have recovered? Was it really like Yuan Tang said? That the expert didn't have any ill intentions towards Gu Jiao? Was it really someone that Gu Jiao knew? Husband. Gu Jiao called out to Xiao Lulang. It's so late. What are you two doing standing here? You can ask him. A certain someone whose identity was announced was finally in a better mood. He said to Lu Yixing, Let's go in and sit. Lu Yixing said, No, I just want to ask Dr. Gu to take a look at my injury. I'll leave in a while. Xiao Lulang didn't force him. He turned around and went into the courtyard, lighting all the lanterns in the courtyard. Gu Jiao's eyes fell on his right hand. Your hand? Lu Yixing looked at his right hand wrapped in gauze. I'm fine. Gu Jiao asked. You stitched it up? Lu Yixing looked at her in confusion. You stitched it up. Don't you remember? Gu Jiao thought for a while. I seem to have some impression. Lu Yixing pursed his lips. Do you often do this? I mean lose consciousness. Gu Jiao shook her head. Not often. Tonight was a special case. Lu Yixing opened his mouth, wanting to say something but hesitated. In the end he didn't ask. He said, I'll send your medicine box and basket to the medical center. When the expert took her away, he only took her, not the things on the ground. He first went to the medical center to inquire about her whereabouts and residence. Then he gave the basket and medicine box to the second boss. Gu Jiao smiled. Thank you. Gu Jiao checked his injury. She was worried that she wouldn't be able to stitch it up in that kind of situation. The fact proved that her muscle memory was too strong. The operation could be said to be perfect. Gu Jiao also told him some things to pay attention to and asked him to come to the medical center tomorrow to change his dressing. Lu Yixing suddenly looked at her deeply and asked, What about you? Are you really okay? That expert. Gu Jiao thought for a while and said, He is my husband's friend. She couldn't expose the identity of Long Yi and Xiao Lulang. For the time being, she called them friends. Lu Yixing was completely relieved. Then I'll take my leave. Lu Yixing walked out of Jade Water Alley and arrived at Xuanwu Street. There was an unremarkable-looking carriage parked there. Several shadow guards were lying in ambush around the carriage. Yuan Tang was sitting in the carriage. Just now, after dealing with those shadow guards, Yuan Tang immediately returned to the Imperial Palace and called the experts of Chun State. Only he didn't know whether the other party was afraid of Gu Jiao and that masked expert, so they didn't make a move against him this evening. Lu Yixing got on the carriage. Yuan Tang raised his eyebrows and said, How is it? Is that girl okay? Lu Yixing said she's fine. Yuan Tang lazily leaned on the cushion behind him. I said she would be fine. When that expert rescued her, he was very cautious. Just like how I look at my cousin every time. Lu Yixing really wanted to kick this shameless guy out of the carriage. Yuan Tang patted his palm with his folding fan. But then again, who is that expert? When did such a powerful person come to Zhao State? Lu Yixing coldly said. Rather than worrying about this, it's better to think about your own situation. Being chased and killed, you also implicated others. Lu Yixing wasn't referring to himself, but to Gu Jiao. Yuan Tang said, I know I implicated my cousin and he lost his finger. I will thoroughly investigate this matter. I will definitely find that bastard. I will chop off his finger to avenge my cousin. Cousin, does it hurt? Come, I will blow on it for you. Saying that, he really grabbed Lu Yixing's right hand and wanted to blow on it. Lu Yixing was quite shocked and decisively pulled away from him by half a carriage's length. Gu Jiao was the type of person who only reported good news and not bad news. No, she didn't even report good news. She wasn't good at talking about her daily life and experiences with others. Perhaps due to the influence of her childhood, no one would like to hear what she had to say. Gradually, she stopped talking, as if by doing so she could create the illusion that you don't know about me, not because you don't care about me, but because I refuse to talk. Even after she grew up, her personality didn't change. Back then, it was Xiao Lulang who dug up old concubine Jing's matter again and again. In addition, all kinds of stupid teammates took turns to expose her, so she had no choice but to confess. Xiao Lulang wouldn't ask Lu Yixing about it. After all, Lu Yixing was only one of his patients. To argue with a patient would make him seem petty. Xiao Lulang went to the kitchen to boil some water for Gu Jiao, so it was a bit noisy. Gu Jiao followed him in and sat down on the small stool next to him. She turned to look at him. You don't seem happy, Xiao Lulang. No, I'm not. Gu Jiao, are you jealous? Xiao Lulang. I'm not that petty. Gu Jiao. Oh. Xiao Lulang. Who's prettier, me or him? Gu Jiao. After taking a bath, Gu Jiao went to the backyard to get some water. Xiao Lulang was still awake. He stood in the yard under the bright moon and stars, looking as elegant as jade, as if he was waiting for her. Why aren't you asleep yet? Gu Jiao put down the wooden basin and turned to ask. Xiao Lulang walked over and raised his hand. His warm palm landed on her head. Gu Jiao was slightly stunned. Why, I don't know. He put down his hand. I just suddenly want to touch your head. It was as if he felt that she needed it, but he couldn't tell why. Gu Jiao blinked and stared at him for a long time. Then she shook her head and stretched it out. Then touch it again. She was like a good child waiting to be touched. Xiao Lulang chuckled. Okay. The next day was supposed to be the day that Gu Jiao agreed to attend the Chamber of Commerce's gathering with the second boss. But because of this sudden change, Gu Jiao had to confirm something first. Gu Jiao asked the second boss to go first. She would rush over after she was done with her business. Okay, remember to be there before dinner. After saying that, the second boss got into the carriage and went to the Four Seas Villa in the eastern suburbs of the capital. Gu Jiao went to the Rui Wang Palace. Rui Wang had gone to take care of business, so only consort Rui Wang was at the palace. Hearing that Gu Jiao was here, consort Rui Wang was so excited that she personally grabbed her dress to greet her. She didn't need to worry about Gu Jiao being stimulated and running. No, walking very quickly. She came to the entrance of the palace and said with a smile, You're finally here. His Highness said that when you sent me back to the palace last time, he invited you to stay with me, but I've waited for so long and I haven't seen you come. What wind blew you here today? Gu Jiao's eyes looked over consort Rui Wang and fell onto the corridor not far away. There were two hidden guards there. She had never seen them beside consort Rui Wang before. Gu Jiao asked, Are those two the people Ning Wang sent to protect you? Consort Rui Wang had talked to her about everything. She had also told Gu Jiao everything about Ning Wang sending people to protect her. You saw them? Consort Rui Wang turned around and said in a surprised voice, They are hidden guards. They only came to see me once when they came to the palace, but after that, I couldn't sense their existence at all. I came to see you. Gu Jiao continued from where she left off. Come in and sit. Consort Rui Wang pulled Gu Jiao's hand and brought her into the palace. Rui Wang was not a favored prince and the palace he was given was not very satisfactory. It wasn't even half the size of the Ning Wang palace, and there weren't many servants on the way. Consort Rui Wang did not seem to care about this. She happily invited Gu Jiao into her courtyard. She already had a lot of infant clothes in her room. Some were made by her when she was bored, and some were sent by her maternal family. My Mimi came to stay for a few days. She was too noisy, so I had her leave. Consort Rui Wang and Gu Jiao sat down on the chairs and called a servant girl to serve Gu Jiao tea. She drank warm water. Consort Rui Wang's Mimi was Du Xiaoyan, the Crown Princess #1 fan. Gu Jiao had been praised by Du Xiaoyan several times. But when it came to noise, Gu Jiao looked at Consort Rui Wang. Weren't you two also noisy? Try this. Consort Rui Wang pushed a plate of osmanthus cake on the table in front of Gu Jiao. You don't know how miserably I was locked up 2 months ago. I even learned how to make desserts. Gu Jiao took a bite and was surprised to find that it was not bad. Is it good? Consort Rui Wang asked. It's good, Gu Jiao said. Consort Rui Wang's eyes turned into 2 crescents as she smiled. Gu Jiao came today mainly to confirm a few things with her. Who did you tell that you heard the Crown Princess having a private meeting with someone behind the fake mountain, and that you suspected Yuan Tang was that man? Consort Rui Wang said straightforwardly, I only told you Rui Wang and De Gu and De Sa was in the carriage and might have heard a bit. Why are you suddenly asking this? Gu Jiao said, Yuan Tang was attacked by an assassin. What? He was attacked by an assassin? How could that be? Who would want to kill him? Consort Rui Wang's expression turned grave. A moment later, she suddenly slapped the table. I know. It was Wen Linlang. She must have been worried that she would be implicated if the matter was exposed, so she decided to go all the way and kill Yuan Tang. Gu Jiao. Your prejudice against the Crown Princess is abnormally deep. It had to be said that Consort Rui Wang's guess gave Gu Jiao another train of thought. In terms of motive, the Crown Princess was suspicious. Thinking back carefully to their conversation, that man was the one who approached the Crown Princess first, and the Crown Princess slapped him. This was enough to show that the man had probably verbally offended her. Regardless of whether the Crown Prince consort was angry and hateful, or if she wanted to eliminate all future troubles, it was indeed possible for her to kill Yuan Tang. However, Gu Jiao felt that the man was also very suspicious. After all, making Yuan Tang a scapegoat was not something that anyone could think of, nor was it something that could be done under any circumstances. Casually killing a scapegoat would not help. However, it would be different if it was Yuan Tang. Whether it was status, appearance, or talent, Yuan Tang was worthy of her. Would it be convincing to find a passerby to say that this was the Crown Princess's secret rendezvous? Moreover, Consort Rui Wang had already closed the coffin on Yuan Tang. Gu Jiao quickly thought of another matter. She was also present when the other party tried to assassinate Yuan Tang. Moreover, she had killed so many of the other party's assassins. How would the other party view her relationship with Yuan Tang? Could the other party have already guessed that she knew that Yuan Tang was wrongly accused of being the man on the fake mountain? If it was her, she would be able to guess it. After all, Consort Rui Wang had gone to the medical center to find her after recognizing Yuan Tang. With her relationship with Consort Rui Wang, it was impossible that she did not tell her the gossip that Yuan Tang was the adulterer. Moreover, she was with Yuan Tang that night. It was hard to suspect that she had gone to find Yuan Tang to verify the truth. Miss Gu, what's wrong? Did I say something wrong? Consort Rui Wang saw that Gu Jiao was suddenly silent and could not help but feel uneasy. Actually, her personality was not too unpleasant. It was just that she was always at odds with Wen Linlang. There were too many people who liked Wen Linlang, so it was inevitable that she would not get along with her. Don't tell me you also like Wen Linlang? She asked weakly. Gu Jiao shook her head. I like you. Consort Rui Wang immediately became happy. She held Gu Jiao's hand and said affectionately, I like you too. Rui Wang, who had just walked to the door and heard this confession, she suddenly felt that the top of her head was a little green. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is more complete and updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are novels with connotations that you can't find online here. https://www.zhhbqg.com/89642_8964286/110399811. HTML Genius memorized the website address in 1 second. www.zhhbqg.com Bikugo mobile reading website. zhhbqg.com. Chapter 420. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more frequently. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found on the internet are all available here. Since the other party chose Yuan Tang as the scapegoat, his life wouldn't be in danger for the time being before consort Rui Wang appeared to testify. Gu Jiao left Rui Wang's residence. She sat in the medical center's carriage. She had just taken a few steps when the carriage was stopped. It was Yuan Tang. Yuan Tang came to the side of the carriage, lifted the curtain, and said to Gu Jiao, "I went back to the palace last night and thought about it all night. The more I thought about it, the more I felt that something was wrong. You just asked me if I was related to Zhao country's crown princess, and then I was being chased. Tell me honestly, do you know something? Does this matter have anything to do with Zhao country's imperial family?" Gu Jiao said indifferently, "No comment. If I tell you the truth, you will reveal your whereabouts that day and make a perfect alibi. Then consort Rui Wang will lose her value in accusing you. Consort Rui Wang will be in danger. Therefore, for consort Rui Wang's safety, you, the great prince of Qin country, will have to suffer for the time being." Gu Jiao pulled the curtain and said with a smile, "There may be people coming to assassinate you in the next few days. Be careful." Then she lowered the curtain and said to Xiao Sanzi, "Let's go." The carriage sped away. Yuan Tang was so angry that he stomped his feet. Hey, make yourself clear. Who wants to assassinate this prince?" "Ah, this girl." She didn't finish her sentence. It was too infuriating. Yuan Tang exploded and roared, "Girl, don't think you can stay out of this. If that person wants to kill me, won't he kill you? Do you think you can escape? You and this prince have been in cahoots for a long time." Gu Jiao didn't really want Yuan Tang to take the risk. The other party's first assassination attempt failed, and they couldn't figure out Yuan Tang's trump card, so they probably wouldn't make a second move so quickly. Before noon, Gu Jiao arrived at the Four Seas Manor. The gathering lasted for 3 days. The most important days were the first and second days. They would be back by the afternoon of the second day. As expected, they bumped into people from Huichun Hall at the Chamber of Commerce. This was a very important Chamber of Commerce, and all the big bosses had come. Gu Jiao then saw the rumored stepson of the Hu clan, second master Hu Hongtu. Just from his name, one could tell how much his parents expected of him. Back then, the second master had been pushed out by his family, so there was no hope for Hu Hongtu to have a deep brotherly relationship with him. Du Ruhan also came. However, he went back after lunch. Gu Jiao didn't manage to meet Du Ruhan. Gu Jiao invited Master Lu and Master's wife Nanxiang early in the morning. The two of them came in the afternoon, and arrived at Jade Water Alley almost one after the other with Gu Jiao. Master Lu, Master's wife Nanxiang. Little Jing Kong warmly invited the two of them into the courtyard. His eagle and 7 chicks all had big red flowers on their heads. They lined up in the courtyard to welcome them. It could be said that it was very ceremonial. Master's wife Nan liked this little guy to death. She smiled and said, "You're Jing Kong, right?" "Yes, Master's wife Nanxiang." Little Jing Kong said cutely. The two of them chatted happily. Little Jing Kong enthusiastically introduced his chicks to Master's wife Nanxiang. Of course, he didn't forget to introduce Gu Yan's puppy. "That's Xiaoba. He's a little timid." Xiaoba straightened his back. How was he timid? He was the bravest shepherd dog in the entire capital. Woof. The new big yellow dog of the Zhao family next door rushed in. Xiaoba lost his cool in a second. He hugged the dog's head with his paws and hid behind the flock of chickens. Master's wife Nan Xiang liked this place very much. The smile in her eyes didn't disappear from the moment she entered the house. Master Lu felt very gratified when he saw Nan Xiang like this. Little Jing Kong considerately introduced the small vegetable garden at home to Master's wife Nan Xiang. He especially proudly told her that he watered the vegetables in the garden. Nan Xiang was amused by the little guy who shook his head. She couldn't wait to steal him back immediately. With little Jing Kong's introduction, Nan Xiang and Master Lu also got to know Feng Lin and Lin Qingye. Unexpectedly, the four of them got along very well. Except for Lin Qingye, who felt inferior and embarrassed because he stuttered. Nan Xiang smiled. She didn't rush to comfort him. Instead, she took off her veil. Lin Qingye and Feng Lin were stunned. Then Lin Qingye blurted out a complete sentence. "It's okay. Actually, Master's wife Nan Xiang, you're very beautiful." Feng Lin patted Lin Qingye on the shoulder. "Ah, Xiao Lin, you don't stutter anymore." Lin Qingye, I don't stutter." Oh, he still stuttered. However, with this interruption, the last trace of uneasiness in everyone's heart disappeared. No one would laugh at Lin Qingye's stuttering, and no one would laugh at Nan Xiang's disfigured face. Xiao Lulang stepped into the courtyard at this time. He had just gone to Granny Zhou's small winery to get some wine. When Nan Xiang came last time, only Gu Jiao was at home. Xiao Lulang had never seen Nan Xiang, but he knew that Nan Xiang and Master Lu would come, so he specially prepared the wine for them. "Lulang, you're back." Feng Lin waved at Xiao Lulang. Lin Qingye quickly got up and ran over to help Xiao Lulang carry the wine jar over. Feng Lin smiled and introduced, "Lulang, this is Master Lu, and this is Master's wife Nan Xiang." Xiao Lulang, "No, you really don't treat yourself as an outsider." Feng Lin said to the couple. "Master Lu, Master's wife Nan Xiang, he's Xiao Shuan's brother-in-law." Master Lu and Xiao Lulang greeted each other politely. Nan Xiang's expression was a little strange. She kept staring at Xiao Liulang's face, which made Master Lu, who was beside her, feel embarrassed. He pulled Nan Xiang's sleeve and whispered, "Why do you keep staring at him?" Nan Xiang said in a daze, I seem to have seen him somewhere." Master Lu was amused. "How could you have seen him? He's Xiao Shuan's brother-in-law. He's from the county, and you've never been to the county. However, I heard that he looks very similar to the late young Duke of Zhaodu. Did you see the young Duke of Zhaodu when you entered the palace?" Nan Xiang shook her head. "No, not in the palace. Not in the capital either." Nan Xiang stared at Xiao Lulang without blinking, trying hard to recall where she had seen him. My book. My book is gone. Naughty." Little Jing Kong's cry came from the study. Little Jing Kong was good at everything, but he didn't know how to tidy up. She could always hear him looking for things all day long. Xiao Lulang didn't hear their whispered conversation. He only noticed that Nan Xiang kept staring at him, but as the host he couldn't say anything. "Mistress Nan, Master Lu, please excuse me." He went to the study to help little Jing Kong look for things after saying goodbye. If he didn't help him find it, the little guy would be so mad that the whole family would be restless. This was the first lunar festival that they officially celebrated in the capital. The old chancellor personally cooked, and Nanny Fong and Yuya were his assistants. They cooked a table full of dishes that they were best at. Lamb scorpion spicy pot, hand-grabbed mutton, sweet and sour pork tenderloin, rock sugar pork knuckle, fried lotus root, cold tofu skin, Crucian carp and tofu soup, vegetarian 3 delicacies, hairy crab, and several seasonal vegetables. Of course, they didn't forget that little Jing Kong's Mid-Autumn Festival was especially vegetarian. He also had hairy crab, steamed buns made of flour and tofu skin. "Let's eat in the courtyard. We can also admire the moon," Feng Lin said. Little Jing Kong was the first to agree. Feng Lin and Lin Qingye went to move the table. There were too many people, and one table wasn't enough, so they put together 2 tables. Gu Jiao didn't participate in the cooking. She was making mooncakes in the small kitchen of the son-in-law's house. Xiao Lulang was also there. He wasn't very good at cooking, but he could still chop firewood to start a fire and carry water. Xiao Lulang hadn't eaten mooncakes before, but he could see that Gu Jiao made a kind of snack with fillings. The fillings were very rich. There were 5 kernels, red bean paste, salted egg yolk, and lotus seed paste. Can you make date paste? He suddenly asked. I haven't made it before, but it should be possible. Gu Jiao said. It's just that there don't seem to be any red dates at home. I'll go buy some. Xiao Lulang stood up. Gu Jiao looked at him strangely. Sure Yi, she didn't see you like date paste so much. Okay. Gu Jiao nodded. Xiao Lulang went to the nearby market to buy red dates. Under Gu Jiao's guidance, he washed, removed the seeds, and kneaded them into date paste. There was no oven, so the mooncakes could only be steamed. The taste was not the same as the mooncakes in her previous life, but Gu Jiao spent a lot of effort on the molds. The mooncakes she made were round, flower-shaped, and very cute patterns and characters. Little Jing Kong saw the cute little pig head on his mooncakes, and was so excited that he cried out. Gu Jiao picked out a few sugar-free mooncakes and put them in the lunchbox. These are for Grandaunt. Empress Dowager Zhuang had to spend the Mid-Autumn Festival in the palace and couldn't come out. Gu Jiao planned to send them to the palace later. Unexpectedly, Xiao Lulang took the initiative to take the task. I'll send them to Grandaunt. Gu Jiao looked at him and said, Okay. Jiao Jiao, come and see. Little Jing Kong seemed to have discovered something new and dragged Gu Jiao out. When Gu Jiao returned to the kitchen, Xiao Lulang had already left with the mooncakes. Except for the sugar-free ones, he also took the date paste ones. Vermilion Bird Avenue. The entire street was filled with the festive atmosphere. However, the courtyard behind the peach trees was especially quiet. Because it was too quiet, one could clearly hear the laughter from the other houses. The windows were wide open. Princess Xinyang and Eugene sat facing each other by the window. The table between them was filled with sumptuous dishes. Eugene opened a plump crab and smiled warmly. It's the Mid-Autumn Festival today. Princess, you don't have to eat vegetables. This crab was sent from the palace. Princess, try it. It's for you. Princess Xinyang said. Eugene sighed. The sound of children playing and adults laughing and scolding came from next door. It made their side seem even more miserable and desolate. Suddenly, someone knocked on the quiet courtyard door. Who is it? The little maid who was washing clothes in the courtyard asked. She was answered by another series of knocks on the door. Coming. The little maid put down the half-washed clothes and stood up. Wiping her hands on the towel on the clothesline, she went to the door and opened it. Who is it? Where is the person? The little maid stretched her head out and looked left and right. Making sure she didn't see anyone, she scratched her head in confusion. I clearly heard someone knocking on the door. When she was about to close the courtyard door, she suddenly saw a food box at the door. Who put it there? She muttered. What happened? Eugene looked at the young maidservant who was behaving strangely in the corridor and asked. The little maid turned around and said to Eugene. Your Excellency Eugene, just now someone knocked on the door and put a food box here. Eugene was a very cautious person. She came to the door and looked at that tightly closed food box. She didn't immediately open it. Rather called Long Yi and let Long Yi open it. Be careful, I'm afraid there are hidden weapons inside. Eugene said. She didn't know whether Long Yi could understand or not. But in the end, there were no hidden weapons in this world that could plot against Long Yi. Long Yi opened the food box, and a rich jujube paste fragrance assailed his nostrils. Eugene was dumbfounded. She saw there were no hidden weapons inside the food box. It was clearly a novel and unique snack. Princess loved to eat jujube paste cakes, but almost no one knew. What's the matter? Princess Xinyang walked over with an indifferent expression. The little maid hurriedly bowed to pay her respect. Eugene took the food box from the bosom of Long Yi and handed it over to her. This, I don't know who put it there. Princess Xianyang picked up a mooncake filled with jujube paste and stared at it for a long time. The little maid cautiously asked, Should I throw it away? Could it be someone poisoned it? The latest chapter of this book is not finished. For more wonderful content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found on the internet are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964286/110373465. HTML Genius will remember this site's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bkuj mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 421. Please scan the QR code below to download the app for more interesting content. The novel will be updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels will be read for free. There are all kinds of novels that can't be found online. Princess Xingyang didn't say that she would throw it away, but she didn't say that she wouldn't throw it away either. She turned around and went into the house as if she didn't care. Eugene looked at her cold and lonely back. After thinking for a while, she still carried the food box inside. When Xiao Lulang returned to Bishui Alley, little Jing Kong had just returned from the other end of the alley. He went to deliver mooncakes. Everyone took care of them, so Jiao Jiao also made mooncakes for the neighbors. Little Jing Kong was very happy after delivering the mooncakes. He was jumping up and down happily. At the door, he bumped into his bad brother-in-law. He immediately put away his cheerful expression and became serious and stern. "Where have you been? I couldn't find you just now." Xiao Lulang was annoyed and amused by his fatherly tone. "I went to deliver mooncakes just like you." "Oh." Little Jing Kong was obviously not satisfied with this unspecific answer. He asked, "Where did you deliver the mooncakes?" "In the palace," Xiao Lulang said. "For Grandaunt." "There's more?" Little Jing Kong put his hands behind his back and tilted his head to look at him. Xiao Lulang said, "Why do you think there's more after what I said?" Little Jing Kong snorted. "I just think there's more." The little guy's intuition was terrifyingly powerful. Xiao Lulang composed himself and stroked his buzz cut. "Let's go in." "Is there more?" Little Jing Kong asked. "Why are you asking this?" Xiao Lulang asked. Little Jing Kong puffed up his chest and said, "I want to know who gave more mooncakes." Xiao Lulang made him laugh again. "Why do you even want to compete with this? Childish." Little Jing Kong put his hands on his hips and stomped his feet. "I'm not childish. At least I won't wet the bed when I'm as old as you." Xiao Lulang tapped his little head with a faint smile. "Are you sure I'm the one who wet the bed and not you?" Little Jing Kong brushed his hand away from his head. "It's you, it's you, it's you. Ha!" The little fellow stuck out her tongue, made a face at Xiao Lulang, and slipped into the house. Xiao Lulang chuckled. "And you say you're not childish?" The whole family had a lively meal in the courtyard and admired the moon. Feng Lin and Master Lu drank until they were high. The two of them had their arms around each other's shoulders, almost calling each other brothers on the spot, and becoming sworn brothers. Otherwise, Xiao Yolang's seniority would be a level lower. In the future, when he saw Feng Lin, he would not be able to address him as Feng Lin. He would have to address him as Martial Uncle Feng. Xiao Lulang promptly gave Feng Lin a piece of mooncake with 5-nut stuffing, preventing this sudden swearing of brotherhood. Feng Lin drank too much. "Take care of him at night," Xiao Lulang said to Lin Qingye. Feng Lin was still living in Lin Qingye's house and paid a friendship rent every month. I will," Lin Qingye said. It was getting late. Lin Qingye helped Feng Lin, who was completely drunk, to get up and bid farewell. On the other side, Nan Xiang and Master Lu were also preparing to leave. Master Lu was drunk and muddle-headed. He patted Xiao Liulang's shoulder and said, "Your master's wife said she saw you, he. Nan Xiang smiled and said to Xiao Lulang, "He's drunk. Don't listen to him." "It's okay." Xiao Lulang did not take it to heart. Gu Xiaoshan and Gu Yan helped the drunk Master Lu into the carriage. Gu Xiaoshan was worried that his master and mistress would go back like this. "I'll go over and take care of my master tonight." He was worried that his master's wife would not be able to handle such a drunk man. Nan Xiang, who could handle 10 drunkards, smiled slightly. "Okay. It was not bad to kidnap her son. Xiaoshan will go back with us." I'll send him to class tomorrow morning, Nan Xiang said to Gu Jiao and Xiao Lulang. The young couple had no objection. Little Jing Kong waved goodbye. Goodbye, Master Lu. Goodbye, Mistress Nan. Goodbye, Brother Feng Lin. Goodbye, Brother Qingye. The whole alley was filled with his small voice saying goodbye. The next day, there were no classes at the Imperial College. Gu Jiao took little Jing Kong to the Imperial Palace to visit her great-aunt. On the way, they went to the Minister of War's mansion to pick up Su Tangsong, who was also on holiday, and took him to the Imperial Palace. Qin Chuyu's identity as a prince had been exposed on a moonless and windy night. Now little Jing Kong and Su Tangsong both knew that he was the son of the Empress. In order to cover up his dishonest behavior, Qin Chuyu decisively changed the topic to little Jing Kong. The Empress Dowager is his great-aunt. He hid it for even longer than me. Little Jing Kong was admitted to the Imperial College first. At that time, he had already called the Empress Dowager his great-aunt. Qin Chuyu was a transfer student. When it came to the history of deception, little Jing Kong was indeed more experienced than Qin Chuyu. In fact, there was a difference between the nature of these two things. Qin Chuyu deliberately hid his identity, while little Jing Kong did not know his great-aunt's identity at all. However, little Jing Kong did not think about it. For the first time, little Jing Kong, who was a logical person, encountered a situation that he could not refute. Fortunately, Su Tangsong was a magnanimous person. After a while, he covered up this matter and said, "Let's go play." The 3B** cheese of the Imperial College went to the ends of the earth and wreaked havoc in the Imperial Palace again. The autumn air was cool and the sun was bright. Gu Jiao and Empress Dowager Zhuang took the Phoenix carriage to the Imperial Garden to bask in the sun. Yesterday was the Mid-Autumn Festival. All the princes and princesses went to the Imperial Palace to celebrate the festival. Naturally, Princess Ning also came. Prince Ning's 2 young commandery princesses went to the Imperial Palace with her. The 2 young commandery princesses were both 2 years old, which was an adorable age. Noble consort Zhuang liked them, so she let the young commandery princesses stay in the Imperial Palace for the night. Today, Prince Ning and his wife went to the Imperial Palace to take the young commandery princesses home. The 2 young commandery princesses met the 3B** cheese of the Imperial College by chance and went to play with them. Noble consort Zhuang and Prince Ning and his wife went to the Imperial Garden to wait for them. Unexpectedly, they met Empress Dowager Zhuang and Gu Jiao. Empress Dowager. Noble consort Zhuang stepped forward with a smile and bowed. She turned to look at Gu Jiao. Jiao Jiao is also here. After learning that Gu Jiao was favored, Noble consort Zhuang changed the way she addressed Gu Jiao. Grandmother. Prince Ning and Empress Dowager Zhuang bowed and nodded to greet Gu Jiao. Dr. Gu. In comparison, the way he addressed her was much more normal. It was neither too warm nor too distant. It was mainly very natural. Gu Jiao also greeted him naturally. Your Highness, Prince Ning. Later, Princess Ning and Empress Dowager Zhuang also greeted each other. Sit down. Empress Dowager Zhuang ordered, and the palace servants set up tables and chairs for them. Eunuch Qin said, Empress Dowager, Miss Gu, sit down. Noble consort Zhuang curled her lips. She, the noble consort, and Prince Ning, the prince, were here, but Eunuch Qin served an outsider first. Gu Jiao and her grandaunt sat down. Don't you know how to help the Empress Dowager? Noble consort Zhuang looked at Gu Jiao and whispered. She could see that the Empress Dowager was in good health and didn't need anyone to help her. Empress Dowager, it's so sunny here. Why don't we go to the pavilion and sit down? Noble consort Zhuang suggested. Empress Dowager Zhuang said lightly, if you want to go, go by yourself. I'm just here to bask in the sun. Noble consort Zhuang didn't speak. Prince Ning gently mediated. Such a good sun. I'm afraid you won't be able to bask in it after winter. Mother, sit down. Noble consort Zhuang sat down on the other side of Empress Dowager Zhuang, and Prince Ning and his wife sat down opposite the 3. Eunuch Qin served tea and snacks. Eunuch Qin didn't know that he would meet Noble consort Zhuang and Prince Ning, so he prepared all Gu Jiao's favorite foods. Noble consort Zhuang looked at the table of spicy jerky, crispy peanuts, spicy beans. She frowned and asked, Eunuch Qin, can the Empress Dowager eat these? Empress Dowager Zhuang didn't eat spicy food before. This? Eunuch Qin wanted to say something but stopped. Noble consort Zhuang ordered her little palace maid, go get some pea cakes and chestnut cakes. The little palace maid quickly brought a few plates of pea cakes and chestnut cakes from the imperial kitchen. They were bright in color and exquisite in appearance. At first glance, one could tell that they tasted extraordinary. Noble consort Zhuang smiled and put a piece of pea cake on the plate in front of Empress Dowager Zhuang and said, Empress Dowager, try this. Gu Jiao picked up a piece and tasted it. Noble consort Zhuang looked a little unhappy. The Empress Dowager hasn't eaten yet. When is it your turn? Gu Jiao put down the snacks and said, it's too sweet. The Empress Dowager can't eat it. Noble consort Zhuang's face sank. She put the chopsticks on the table and said, it's better than these spicy things. Empress Dowager Zhuang looked at noble consort Zhuang impatiently and said, I'm not asking you to eat it. You talk too much. Noble consort Zhuang choked. Fortunately, the 3 chief guests of the Imperial College and the 2 young princesses came over and diluted the awkwardness of the scene in time. They were sweating profusely from running. Noble consort Zhuang didn't allow the 2 young princesses to play crazily anymore. Otherwise, they would lose the dignity of the imperial family. Little Qi is really too much. As his brother, you should control him. Don't let him play crazily all the time. If His Majesty sees this, he will be unhappy. These words were obviously directed at Prince Ning. Prince Ning looked at Qin Chuyu, who was running around in the flowers, and smiled helplessly. Father said that little Qi is too fat. It's good for him to move around. Noble consort Zhuang's heart was even more blocked. She wasn't like this usually. It was just that these days, her period had come, and she was in a bad mood. She didn't like everyone. The 3 chief guests of the Imperial College ran away again. The 2 young princesses wanted to follow them, but they had to stay because of noble consort Zhuang's dignity. Gu Jiao originally thought that Qin Chuyu, who had completely released his nature, was a normal child of the imperial family. After seeing the 2 young princesses, she realized that he was probably an anomaly. The 2-year-old young princesses were already very sensible. They were born of Prince Ning's 2 concubines, and were less than half a year apart. They were very close to Prince Ning and nestled in his arms, unwilling to come out. It was a kind of dependence from the heart. It could be seen that Prince Ning was a good father who loved his daughters. Do you want to eat snacks? Prince Ning asked his daughters gently. The 2 young princesses nodded in unison. Prince Ning asked them to take it themselves. One of the young princesses took a piece of pea cake, while the other took a piece of spicy dried meat. She stuck out her tongue because of the spiciness. Prince Ning's eyes were full of smiles. Gu Jiao rested her chin on one hand and calmly watched Prince Ning dote on his daughter. When he smiled, it was as if the ice and snow in the cold winter had melted. He had a high position, and was born with a good appearance from the royal family. He also exuded an awe-inspiring righteousness. Gu Jiao couldn't help but think of Commandery Prince and was also a man as gentle as jade, but he was more youthful than Prince Ning. Prince Ning had the courage of a superior and the charm of a mature man. Few women wouldn't be fascinated by such a man, right? Gu Jiao looked at Princess Ning on the side. The 2 children were also close to her. They would ask her for water and wipe their faces. After acting like a spoiled child in front of Prince Ning, they went to her. Princess Ning fed them water and wiped their hands as if she was their biological mother. But they were not her biological children. Did she really not have any grudge? Gu Jiao thought of Princess Ning's illness. The most uncomfortable thing in the world was not that she minded, but that she had to pretend that she didn't mind when she minded. This would make her suffer double the pain. Empress Dowager Zhuang said to the wet nurse beside her, "Take the young princesses to play. Children shouldn't be too restrained." Yes. The wet nurses didn't dare to disobey Empress Dowager Zhuang's order. They took the 2 young princesses to play with the 3B** cheese of the Imperial College. Gu Jiao didn't know if it was her illusion, but she felt that Princess Ning seemed to be relieved. When they were basking in the sun in the Imperial Garden, something happened. The Crown Prince and Crown Princess passed by here, Grandaunt was here. They had to come and say hello. No matter what people in the royal family thought, they wouldn't show it on their faces. The Crown Prince and Prince Ning looked like brothers. But they didn't expect that Qin Shiyu snatched Su Kanji's trophies, the newly picked dates on the tree. He ran all over the imperial garden and accidentally knocked down 2 people. One was the Crown Princess who didn't have time to sit down, and the other was Princess Ning who just got up. Qin Shiyu was between the Crown Prince and the 2. Only Prince Ning was close to them. Because of Qin Shiyu's reckless actions, the Crown Princess was even closer to him. He only needed to reach out a hand to support her. But he didn't do that. He didn't even look at the Crown Princess. He stepped forward and hugged Princess Ning, who almost fell on her face. "Are you okay?" He hugged his wife tightly. Princess Ning gasped in shock. "I'm okay." The Crown Princess was not so lucky. She fell on the ground sideways. Her arms and legs were scratched. "Qin Shiyu, are you itching for a beating again?" The Crown Prince's angry roar sounded in the imperial garden. Ah! Qin Shiyu, who was in trouble, hid behind Gu Jiao and Empress Dowager Zhuang. The Crown Prince couldn't go around the Empress Dowager to beat Qin Shiyu. In addition, the Crown Princess fell heavily. He didn't care about anything else and hurriedly helped the Crown Princess up. The Crown Princess twisted her ankle and couldn't walk anymore. "I'll call a sedan chair," Prince Ning said. "No need." The Crown Prince didn't want to wait any longer. He bent down and carried the Crown Princess up. After bidding farewell to Empress Dowager Zhuang and the others, he quickly walked back to the East Palace. Except for calling the sedan chair just now, Lord Ning was concerned about Princess Ning's injury all the time. However, noble consort Zhuang couldn't bear it and whispered, "It seems that she fell badly." Prince Ning's performance was too good. He was a perfect father and a perfect husband. Gu Jiao tapped on the table with her fingertips. She suddenly stood up and said, "I'm a doctor. I'll go to the East Palace." Empress Dowager Zhuang looked at Gu Jiao strangely. Gu Jiao came back quickly. Prince Ning, his wife, and noble consort Zhuang were all there. Only Qin Shiyu went to his father after being reprimanded. "Why are you back so soon? Is the Crown Princess seriously injured?" Noble consort Zhuang asked. "Ah, it seems that I went at the wrong time. The Crown Prince and the Crown Princess are..." Gu Jiao glanced at Prince Ning. "Not very convenient." Prince Ning's hand that was holding the teacup paused. Digression. What he meant by not convenient, everyone understood. The latest chapter of this book is not finished. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are novels with connotations that can't be found on the internet here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964286/110348799. HTML Genius remembered the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikuga mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.